Longevity, starting by creating my own liquor goo. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 375 Long Zioyo. Looking at the 10 water spirit mushrooms on the table, Long Zhuan sighed inwardly. They were truly lucky. Water spirit mushrooms were the most difficult of the third-grade spiritual herbs to refine, and they had unexpectedly drawn them. Water spirit mushrooms were extremely afraid of fire and could easily be burned to ashes, which was the reason for their extreme difficulty in refining. Even the slightest mistake by an alchemist during the refining process would instantly turn the water spirit mushrooms to ash. This assessment was truly hellish. The fact that the first group of participants had drawn water spirit mushrooms as their test question was incredibly unlucky. Most of the alchemists participating in this assessment probably wouldn't even be able to refine water spirit mushrooms, ultimately wasting all their herbs and getting 0 points. He figured the entire examination hall was probably filled with groans of despair right now. Long Zhuan sighed again, thinking how incredibly unlucky his flame clone was to draw the death group. Since the competition had a time limit, and the faster the score, Long Zhuan decided to waste no more time. He released a ball of deep red flame from his palm and officially prepared to refine the spiritual herbs. This time, he used the alchemical fire, not the frost divine flame, but the purifying lotus demon flame born from the fire floating island. The frost divine flame and the purifying lotus demon flame were completely equal, but in terms of alchemy, the purifying lotus demon flame was clearly superior, so he decided to use the purifying lotus demon flame to refine the water spirit mushroom. He gently picked up one of the water spirit mushrooms from the table and threw it into the deep red flame. Under the control of his powerful soul force, he carefully removed the impurities from the spiritual herb, leaving only the essence. Refining the water spirit mushroom was extremely difficult, and Long Zhuan had to concentrate completely, without the slightest carelessness. Therefore, he did not use his divided soul to refine the remaining 9 spiritual herbs. The soul force of the divided soul was far inferior to that of his main body, and the failure rate of refining the water spirit mushroom would be very high. To be on the safe side, Long Zhuan could only refine the 10 water spirit mushrooms himself. Time ticked by. In the quiet first-floor hall, over 100 judges sat quietly in their chairs, eyes closed, awaiting the first person to emerge from the examination hall. 10 of them sat at the very front. These 10 were the chief alchemists of the 10 empires that hosted the event. Each of them was a 4th-grade alchemist, possessing the peak of the Gu King realm, and were powerful figures whose influence shook their respective countries. For such a grand alchemy competition, the judges selected by the organizers could not be lacking. These 10 4th-grade alchemists were highly renowned throughout the Gu world, deeply respected, and extremely protective of their reputations, making them virtually impossible to bribe. Long Zioyo, the chief alchemist of the Long Tang Empire, stroked his white beard and chuckled. This year's Western Region Alchemy League is teeming with geniuses. Both the quantity and quality surpassed the previous league. However, the genius in the first round of assessments was unlucky, drawing the most difficult to refine water spirit mushroom. Water spirit mushrooms are extremely sensitive to fire. Only 1 in 10 can successfully refine them. I wonder how many of this unfortunate participant will pass, and which genius will emerge first. Wang Hu, the chief alchemist of the Huayu Empire, was the tallest among the alchemists. This hulking figure turned and smiled. My clan's geniuses are quite lucky. None of them are in the first round of assessments. In that case, Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang are the strongest among the geniuses participating in the first round. I think the first one to emerge will be one of these 2. Feng Xianchen, the chief alchemist of the Xianfang Empire, glanced at him with a sinister expression and said, "Nonsense. You and I know the difficulty of refining water spirit mushrooms. It's impossible for anyone to refine 10 water spirit mushrooms in a short time, no matter how talented they are. The first geniuses to emerge will definitely not be these 2. The first assessment is special. The first person to emerge should be the one with the worst alchemy skills. If someone throws a water spirit mushroom into the alchemical fire and burns it, quickly burning all 10, then of course they'll emerge quickly. The fastest might not even take a few breaths. Even if Feng Shuang and Long Yuiao are geniuses, how could they possibly be faster than this group? Upon hearing this, many judges behind him chuckled. Brother Xiancheng is right, that's indeed the case. Ha ha ha, Qin Shuang, the chief alchemist of the Yanting Empire, a fat man, patted his large belly and laughed loudly. Feng Xiancheng then turned his gaze to his arch-rival, Long Xiaoyao, and smirked. It's impossible to predict who will come out first, but I think Feng Shuang will be one step ahead of Long Yuiao. Oh, Long Xiaoyao also turned to look at him, teasingly saying, that fat guy who just tripped and fell flat on his face? Are you sure he can do it? Upon hearing this, someone behind him couldn't help but chuckle again. Feng Xiancheng immediately lost face, his face darkening as he said, even a horse can stumble, everyone makes mistakes, since you doubt his alchemy abilities, how about we make a bet? We'll bet on which genius from our two clans will come out first. The wager is a 4th grade pill formula, and it must be a 4th grade pill formula that the other doesn't have. Hearing this, Long Xiaoyao immediately smiled, looking at him with a half smile, and said, you suddenly started talking to me because you want to make a bet with me, right? I've never been afraid of bets, but the premise must be based on absolute fairness and impartiality. Feng Shuang is on the 2nd floor, and Long Yuiao is on the 5th floor. It takes time for them to come down. If they both finish refining the water spirit mushroom at the same time, Feng Shuang will definitely be the first to come down the stairs. Do you think I'm stupid? I'll bet you, if we're going to bet, let's not bet on who comes down the fastest. Let's bet on which family, Long or Feng, has the highest score. It's completely fair and just. Do you dare to bet? Who's afraid of who? I'll bet. Feng Xiancheng slammed his hand on the table. Although he appeared confident, he was secretly sighing inwardly. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of the difference in floor level, but he didn't expect Long Xiaoyao to be so clever and not give an inch. This reduced his chances of winning somewhat. However, his chances were still over 50%. Coincidentally, the spiritual herb Feng Shuang refined during her practice the day before yesterday was the water spirit mushroom, so she guessed correctly. After a lot of practice, Feng Shuang had become more skilled, so her chances of winning were naturally higher. This was the reason why he dared to propose the bet. The other alchemists looked at the two with strange eyes, sighing inwardly. When these two clans meet, no matter what they're doing, they always have to gamble. This alchemy competition is even bigger, they're even willing to wager their clan's fate. It's insane. Time passed second by second, and soon, contestants began to descend the stairs. Just as Feng Xiancheng had predicted, those who first emerged from the examination hall weren't geniuses, but rather the worst alchemists. They burned each spirit herb they refined, quickly exhausting the entire examination room, hence their rapid exit. Those who first ascended the stairs were all dejected, most had simply walked out of the examination hall, clearly having ruined all their spirit herbs and unable to produce a work worthy of comparison. A few succeeded once or twice, but their works were either too impure or had burned away too much essence, leaving little usable material. The judges, too lazy to score these individuals, simply announced their elimination. There's no need to waste time scoring those who are destined to be eliminated. Chapter 376 100% Purity. June 2, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshen Shui Wu by Nian. When the exam was halfway through, Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang finally emerged from the examination room. They came out almost simultaneously, but Feng Shuang, being on the 2nd floor closest to the first, was the first to descend. Long Yuiao followed closely behind. Seeing that Feng Shuang was the first to come down, she glared at him fiercely, then placed the 10 medicine bottles she was carrying on the table in front of Long Xiaoyao. Seeing this, Long Xiaoyao breathed a long sigh of relief, secretly thankful that he had been cautious enough not to gamble with Feng Xiancheng on which clan would descend the fastest. Otherwise, he would have definitely lost this round. Not bad. 10 water spirit mushrooms, all 10 successfully purified, a 100% success rate. A good bonus. Hearing Long Xiaoyao's praise, Long Yuiao immediately beamed, revealing a beautiful smile. Don't rush. Our Feng Shuang also purified 10 water spirit mushrooms with a 100% success rate. Since the success rates are the same, we can only compare the quality. Feng Xiancheng glanced over there, then looked at Feng Shuang and said, the rules of the alchemy competition are to score the best bottle of spiritual herb essence. Pick out the best bottle for me. Feng Shuang scratched his head. The 10 bottles of water spirit mushroom essence he had extracted were all about the same quality, making it difficult to distinguish between them. It was really a bit difficult for him to choose the best bottle from the 10. In the end, he randomly picked a bottle and handed it to Feng Xiancheng. Feng Xiancheng took it, opened the cap, and looked inside. At the same time, he also probed inside with his soul power. He wasn't the only one probing with his soul power. Hundreds of judges also probed inside with their soul power. After sensing the spiritual herb essence, they nodded almost imperceptibly, and some showed satisfied smiles. Wang Hu, the chief alchemist of the Radiant Moon Empire, laughed loudly. Excellent. Excellent. 90% purity, even I could only achieve this much at my highest level. I never imagined that a mere third-grade alchemist could purify the water spirit mushroom to 90%. Even most fourth-grade alchemists would find it difficult to achieve this. It seems your Feng clan has produced a prodigy. I would give this level of spiritual herb essence a score of 96. Not at all, not at all. This genius of the Long clan named Long Yuiao is in no way inferior to Feng Shuang. Feng Xiancheng revealed a hint of pride, then looked at Long Xiaoyao. To avoid suspicion, I won't give a score. I wonder how many points Brother Long would be willing to give to my clan's Feng Shuang. At this moment, Long Xiaoyao had already examined the spiritual herb essence refined by Long Yuiao, revealing a satisfied smile. Hearing this, he turned his head and said, to avoid suspicion, I also won't give scores to either of our geniuses. I wonder how many points Brother Wang would be willing to give to my clan's genius. Long Xiaoyao then turned to Wang Hu and asked with a smile. Wang Hu used his soul power to sense the essence of the water spirit mushroom that Long Yuiao had refined. After a moment, a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. Both of them were top geniuses in the alchemy world, and the quality of the spiritual herb essences they refined was about the same. Since that was the case, he decided to avoid offending either of them and simply give them the same score. So he looked at Long Yuiao and smiled. The Emperor of the Dragon-Soaring Empire has indeed given birth to a fine daughter. She is beautiful, and her alchemy skills are among the best of her age. It's a pity that good looks aren't a plus, otherwise I really wanted to give you a perfect score. I'll give you 96 points, the same as Feng Shuang. Thank you, Uncle Wang, Long Yuiao said sweetly. Next, the other judges also began to score the two geniuses. In the end, with the quality of the spiritual herb essences from both sides being about the same, all the judges, with the intention of not offending either of them, all gave the same score. Although each judge gave a different score, since the two geniuses were given the same score, the final result was naturally a tie. When all the judges removed the 10 highest and 10 lowest scores and took the average, both Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang received the highest score of 97, resulting in a tie. Long Xiaoyao and Feng Xiancheng both frowned, greatly dissatisfied with the result. However, they also knew that the two geniuses' alchemy skills were indeed evenly matched, and unless a genius could create a significant gap, it would likely end in a tie no matter how many rounds they competed. Looks like this round is a draw. Neither of us should covet the other's pill formula. Feng Xiancheng looked at Long Xiaoyao, shook his head helplessly. Is that so? Not necessarily. Long Xiaoyao looked towards the stairwell, where a handsome young man dressed in black was slowly descending the stairs. He vaguely sensed a blood connection with this young man. Although the feeling was faint, he was certain that this person's surname was Long. Perhaps this Long family genius could create a miracle? He couldn't help but feel a faint sense of anticipation. The Dragon Clan geniuses participating in this alchemy competition were far more than just Long Yuiao. Many came from distant lands and were unknown to him. The bet was between the Dragon and Phoenix clans to determine which genius had the highest score, not between Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang. If a wild Dragon Clan genius suddenly appeared with alchemy talents surpassing Long Yuiao's, he could also win the bet. Although the possibility was slim, he still held on to hope. At this moment, all the alchemists in the arena turned their gaze to the young man Long Xiaoyao was looking at. Since Long Xiaoyao had said so, this young man was probably surnamed Long. It wasn't difficult to ascertain. Feng Xiancheng's lips curled into a sneer as he looked at him contemptuously. Never seen him before. Just a nobody. Feng Xiancheng revealed a disdainful smile, then his expression quickly froze. When he saw the 10 medicine bottles hidden in the young man's sleeve, his pupils shrank, and he knew something was wrong. Few people achieve a 100% success rate in refining spiritual herbs, and a genius who can achieve such a success rate must produce herbs of exceptional quality. He clenched his fists nervously. Long Xiaoyao, of course, also saw the 10 medicine bottles hidden in his sleeve and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. My Long clan truly produces many talented individuals. Long Zhuan, is it? Not bad, not bad. You really are surnamed Long. I hope you won't disappoint me. After seeing the name written on the token held by the young man, he was even more certain of the man's identity. Quickly, let me see your work. Saying this, before Long Zhuan could even get close, he impatiently used his soul power to snatch the 10 medicine bottles from his hand and simultaneously opened the caps of all 10 bottles. However, after just one glance, his expression changed drastically, and he immediately stood up in shock. Seeing his loss of composure, Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang became curious and immediately probed with their soul power as well. After verifying the quality of the herbs, their expressions both changed. 100% purity. How is this possible? How did he do that? Long Yuiao's eyes widened, her expression filled with disbelief. Feng Shuang stared intently at one of the medicine bottles, slowly clenching his fist, his eyes filled with resentment. He had thought that with his alchemy skills, he could sweep aside all his competitors in this alchemy competition. But this scene was a heavy blow to him, making him truly understand what it meant to be stronger than the strongest. He had already encountered such a formidable opponent at the very beginning. How many such prodigies would he face in the finals? At this moment, he began to lose confidence. What? 100% purity? Hearing Long Yuiao's exclamation, the other judges were also taken aback, hurriedly probing with their soul power. When they determined the purity of the spiritual medicine essence in the bottle, everyone was shocked, and a collective gasp filled the arena. How is this possible? This is actually a 100% pure spiritual herb essence. Hiss, 100% purity. Even a 4th grade alchemist can't achieve 100% purity. How did he do it? A genius. A true genius. It seems this year's Western Region Alchemy League is about to produce a dark horse. The judges blushed, excitedly shouting and behaving extremely disoriented, as if 100% purity was some extraordinary feat in the alchemy world. Seeing the judges' reactions, Long Zhuan sighed inwardly. 100% purity was indeed a heaven-defying achievement in the alchemy world. It required an alchemist's soul power, flame manipulation, and flame intensity to all reach a certain level, and very few could simultaneously meet all three conditions. He cultivated the heaven-defying soul refining technique, the heavenly demon disintegration divine art, and with the aid of the soul-nourishing wood, his current soul power was probably no weaker than the Gu King's. His soul power was definitely up to par. As for the flame, even the highest grade spiritual fire couldn't refine spiritual herbs to 100% purity. He had previously refined 9 water spirit mushrooms, all to 90% purity. In fact, his refining speed for water spirit mushrooms was far faster than Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang. However, he was cunning and didn't go out immediately, intending to assess his competitor's abilities before making a decision. When he sensed with his soul power that Long Yuiao and Feng Shuang below had both refined their water spirit mushrooms to 90% purity, he knew that even if he went out, he would at most be on par with these two geniuses, let alone surpass them in scores. So, he gritted his teeth and could only unleash his trump card, the heavenly fire, using the sunset divine flame to refine the last water spirit mushroom. As expected, under the power of the heavenly fire, the last water spirit mushroom was refined to 100% purity, causing the current sensation. How is this possible? Feng Xiancheng's face turned ashen. He stood up and rushed to Long Xiaoyao, snatching the bottle of 100% pure spiritual herb essence from his hand. He meticulously examined the bottle countless times, confirming that the essence of the medicinal herbs was indeed 100% pure. His expression grew increasingly grim. Feng Xiancheng quickly looked up at the young man before him, his eyes filled with deep concern. He hadn't expected such a dark horse from the Long clan to emerge halfway through. This was far beyond his expectations. This dark horse's alchemy skills were likely superior to Feng Shuang's, which was definitely not good news for the Feng clan. It seems heaven favors my Long clan. How many points would you give my clan's genius? Long Xiaoyao asked Feng Xiancheng smugly. He knew he was certain to win this gamble, and his smile grew ever wider. Feng Xiancheng glared at him fiercely and said, "This boy's speed is a bit slow, and the essence of the spiritual herbs he extracted is too dry. The purity of the other 9 bottles of spiritual herb essence is only 90%. I've always been strict with my competitors. I can only give him 90 points. Although Feng Xiancheng knew he was doomed to lose this bet, he still decided to try to lower the boy's score as much as possible. The scores from each round were cumulative. The higher the boy's score, the more disadvantageous it would be for the Feng family. Therefore, he had no choice but to be shameless and cheat once. However, he only dared to lower it to 90 points within the rules. Lowering it to a few tens of points or 0 is unrealistic and would have consequences that outweigh the gains. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and sneered. The competition rules state that only the best quality bottle out of 10 bottles of spiritual herb essence will be scored. You actually included the other 9 bottles of poor quality in your criteria? You really know how to nitpick. I observe that the spiritual herb essence refined by this genius of my clan is extremely perfect. Its purity has reached the highest limit, without any flaws. I really can't find anything to criticize, so I'm giving this genius of my clan 100 points. I don't think anyone will say I'm being biased, right? Long Xiaoyao swept his gaze across the faces of the judges and said confidently. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 377 The Feng Clan's Conspiracy. June 3, 2024 Author, Xiang Kangshan, handsome for 500 years. I'll give it 100 points too. If this level doesn't deserve a perfect score, then I don't think anyone can. Qin Shang laughed loudly. As his words fell, the other judges finally came to their senses and began to score as well. After all the judges finished scoring, the 10 highest scores were removed, and then Feng Xiancheng's lowest score was also removed. Long Zhuan's final score was 100 points. Actually, quite a few people didn't give him a perfect score. Long Zhuan's final score should have been a little over 9. But this world doesn't have the concept of decimals, so the final score was rounded down to the nearest whole number. He unusually received a perfect score of 100, leaving everyone speechless. 100 points was a terrifying score, leaving all the contestants who had come down and the onlookers at the entrance dumbfounded. The scene was deathly silent. Feng Xiancheng clenched his fists. He had swallowed his pride and given a very low score, but it was ultimately removed, serving no purpose whatsoever. Ha ha ha. 100 points, Feng Xiancheng, I won. Hand over a 4th grade pill formula. Long Xiaoyao laughed loudly, extending his hand to Feng Xiancheng. Feng Xiancheng's face darkened. Under everyone's watchful eyes, he naturally couldn't renege on his promise, so he reluctantly took a 4th grade pill formula from his storage ring and slammed it on the table. This is a bone-strengthening pill formula. I guarantee you don't have one on you. I lost this round. Do you dare to bet with me again in the next round? The stake is a top-grade exotic goo. Do you dare to accept? Feng Xiancheng looked at Long Xiaoyao with a gloomy face. HMPH. Why wouldn't I dare? Seeing a dark horse emerge from my clan, you still dare to bet with me? I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Long Xiaoyao showed a disdainful look and immediately agreed to the bet. However, when he smiled and looked for the dark horse again, the dark horse was nowhere to be seen. Long Zhuan had already left. Since his assessment was over and the score was out, there was naturally no need for him to stay here any longer. Before he could go far, he sensed a fragrant breeze rapidly approaching. Hey, clan member. Your alchemy skills are impressive, but I've never heard of you before. Could you tell me which clan you belong to? Long Yuiao ran over, walking alongside him, and asked, turning her head. Long Zhuan glanced at her and decisively refused. No. Long Yuiao's smile froze, and she frowned slightly. In all these years, this was the first person to show her such disdain. She leaned close to Long Zhuan's ear and whispered, you must have used heavenly fire just now, right? I know very well the difficulty of refining water spirit mushroom. Without the power of heavenly fire, it's almost impossible to refine it to 100% purity. You won because of heavenly fire. If you didn't have heavenly fire, the outcome would be uncertain, Long Yuiao said competitively. Long Zhuan wasn't surprised that she could guess he had used heavenly fire. Ever since he decided to win the alchemy competition at all costs, he had been prepared to reveal his heavenly fire. The heavenly fire will most likely be used in the finals, so it doesn't matter if people guess it now. He's not afraid of people knowing he possesses the heavenly fire. After all, this face is fake. At worst, he can use a 100-mile talisman to instantly teleport away and change his identity. Think what you want. I have other matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. After saying this, Long Zhuan created 5 clones, which scattered in all directions. Long Yuiao was startled and stopped. She wasn't sure which one was the real body, so she didn't know which one to chase. HMPH. Child's play. You think you can shake me off with just a few clones? Long Yuiao sneered, and an eye appeared between her brows. She began to use the power of the evil dragon Emperor's eye to identify the real body. However, after carefully examining them for a long time, she still couldn't find the difference between the 6 people. Seeing them getting further and further away, she stomped her foot in frustration and cursed, Long Zhuan. I'll remember you. With that, she walked back helplessly. Long Zhuan returned to the inn, and the first thing he did was to have his clones collect the materials for the heavenly gold recipe as quickly as possible. The first round of eliminations would last at least 10 days. He didn't need to participate during these 10 days, and he didn't intend to waste time. He decided to use those 10 days to prepare the heavenly gold. He would also use the heavenly gold as a material to forge a 3rd-grade alchemy furnace. The alchemy furnace was of paramount importance in the alchemy process. A good furnace could improve the success rate and the quality of the elixirs. Since he was prepared to go all out in this alchemy competition, he naturally couldn't be careless with his furnace. He wanted to see just how powerful a spiritual weapon would be forged from an alloy that had never appeared in this world before. The day quickly came to an end, and a large number of participants and judges emerged from the examination hall, and the tall building fell silent once more. Unsurprisingly, the news that a dark horse named Long Zhuan had scored a perfect 100 points instantly became the talk of the town. Everyone in the streets and alleys was excitedly discussing it. Long Zhuan was famous, incredibly famous. Overnight, the name Long Zhuan became known to all alchemists. In a secluded chamber, Feng Xiancheng anxiously took out a mirror. Soon, an aged figure in a phoenix robe appeared in the mirror. Though thin, the figure possessed an air of authority, clearly indicating a high-ranking person. Xiancheng, what brings you here? The old man in the phoenix robe in the mirror looked weary, but upon seeing the person opposite him, he forced himself to stay alert. Brother, something has happened here. A dark horse has suddenly emerged from the Long clan. His alchemy talent is terrifying. He was able to refine the water spirit mushroom to 100% purity and ultimately scored a perfect 100 in the first round. I suspect this young man's alchemy skills far surpass those of Long Yuiao, and even Feng Shuang is unlikely to be his match. This young man's existence poses a great threat to our clan. If our clan doesn't find a way to break this deadlock, the consequences will be unimaginable. Feng Xiancheng looked at the old man in the phoenix robe in the mirror, his voice filled with worry. The old man in the phoenix robe also showed a slight look of solemnity, but it quickly vanished. I've heard about this matter, but I've heard he's only a 3rd-grade alchemist, so he's nothing to worry about. HMPH. Our Phoenix Alliance and the Dragon Alliance are betting on their clan's fate, which has scared out many hidden genius alchemists from both clans. Genius alchemists who are unwilling to have their fate controlled by others will personally participate in this alchemy competition, so it's normal for some dark horses to emerge. If the Dragon clan has a monstrous dark horse, how could my Phoenix clan not have one? The old man in the phoenix robe in the mirror suddenly revealed a sinister smile. Upon hearing this, Feng Xiancheng seemed to be deep in thought. He suddenly raised his head, his eyes bright as he looked at the mirror and said, Brother, you said that as long as the opponent is a 3rd-grade alchemist, there's nothing to worry about. Could it be that our clan has a hidden 4th-grade alchemist as a dark horse? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Feng Xiancheng frowned and quickly shook his head, saying, the requirement for participants in the alchemy competition is that they must be under 50 years old. In ancient times, becoming a 4th-grade alchemist before 50 was possible, but in this era, it's absolutely impossible, Feng Xiancheng said firmly. The prerequisite for becoming a 4th-grade alchemist is to first become a Gu King. In this era of scarce spiritual energy, becoming a Gu King before 50 is already difficult, let alone having to devote time to learning the vast ocean of alchemy knowledge and practicing. How can one concentrate on so many things in a limited time? This isn't the most crucial point. The most crucial point is that becoming an alchemist requires at least 2 attributes, fire and wood. A talent for cultivating multiple attributes can never be top tier. The limitations of cultivation aptitude make it virtually impossible for alchemists in this era to become fourth-grade alchemists before the age of 50. Hearing this, the old man in the phoenix robe shook his head and smiled. Don't speak so absolutely. There are never any absolutes in this world, there are always exceptions, and anything is possible. Back then, Duan Xianwu could become a fourth-grade alchemist before the age of 50. How can you be so sure that the world won't produce another like him? The old man in the phoenix robe revealed a mysterious smile and continued, unfortunately, 200 years after Duan Xianwu, my Feng clan also produced an alchemy prodigy who became a fourth-grade alchemist before the age of 50. However, this genius comes from the Feng clan of the Eastern lands, and few people know of his superb alchemy skills. The old man in the phoenix robe stroked his beard and laughed. Why did the Grand Preceptor propose betting half of the clan's fortune against the Long clan? This is a trap set by the Grand Preceptor for the Long clan. If I didn't have absolute certainty, how could I dare to gamble with the clan's fortune? Although Feng Jiushin is not under the control of my Feng clan alliance, his clan belongs to the Feng clan alliance. This bet is enough to affect him, therefore, this bet between the Long and Feng clans will definitely bring him out. He will never trust anyone else to control his destiny, no matter how strong that dark horse from the Long clan is. How could it possibly be stronger than our dark horse? The Long clan is doomed to lose this time. The old man in the phoenix robe's eyes flashed with a fierce light. Feng Jiushin? What a peculiar name. Feng Xiancheng murmured, lost in thought, then his pupils contracted, finally realizing who this person was. Feng Jiushin was a prodigy of the Eastern Phoenix clan, achieving fame at a young age. He was known as the Burning Heaven Ancestor for collecting 3 heavenly flames. The Burning Heaven Ancestor's terror was in no way inferior to Duan Xianwu's back then, and many said he would become the next Duan Xianwu 200 years later. In the end, these words came true. When Feng Jiushin's combat power reached its peak, he slaughtered his entire clan, thus becoming completely possessed by demons. The reason was that the Eastern Phoenix clan had sealed a complete version of the evil Phoenix True Eye, passed down from ancient times. The complete version of the evil Phoenix True Eye could copy all the laws of the world without restriction. Any family's unique secret techniques could be easily stolen and learned under this eye. Such terrifying power would inevitably cause panic among all races, and the Feng clan of the Eastern lands would likely be besieged by multiple forces, leading to their annihilation. In this era, the complete evil Phoenix True Eye is a cursed eye. To avoid disaster, the Feng clan's ancestral precept is that the evil Phoenix True Eye must never be used unless the family faces a life or death crisis. Feng Jiushin, however, is a selfish and self-serving individual. Desiring the complete evil Phoenix True Eye, after repeatedly failing to obtain it from his family's higher-ups, he destroyed his own clan in a fit of rage and stole the complete eye. With a complete evil Phoenix True Eye, his combat power skyrocketed, setting him on the path to invincibility. Feng Jiushin is not one to be content, he aspires to learn all the world's techniques. After obtaining the complete evil Phoenix True Eye, he challenged powerful figures from all sides, collecting myriad techniques worldwide, thus incurring the wrath of countless terrifying forces. He was quickly besieged by forces from all over the world, facing countless assassination attempts, yet he remains alive and well, demonstrating his immense strength. Upon hearing that the Feng clan intended to use this person, Feng Xiancheng's expression quickly changed drastically. He hurriedly exclaimed, "Has the Imperial Advisor gone mad? He dares to use even this person. Ancestor Burning Heaven has offended every force in the Gu realm in his attempt to steal and learn all the world's inheritances, and is currently being hunted down by all the major powers. He is the person the Gu Emperor of Gu Emperor City has specifically ordered to kill, and is currently ranked 10th on the Gu realm's wanted list, with a bounty of 400 billion. The top 10 most powerful demonic cultivators on the Gu realm's wanted list have all survived multiple attacks by various forces. They can almost be considered the 10 strongest demonic cultivators. How can we possibly use such a powerful demonic cultivator? The Imperial Advisor is playing with fire. He might just drag my Feng clan into utter ruin." Feng Xiancheng revealed a look of terror, hastily standing up, sweat pouring down his face. Now he finally understood why this person could become a fourth-grade alchemist before the age of 50. He possessed an eye capable of copying all techniques, allowing him to directly copy alchemy techniques. Forget 50 years. He could become a fourth-grade alchemist in less than 3 years. It's that exaggerated. This person could indeed sweep aside all competitors in the alchemy competition, but the Heavenly Phoenix Empire would also easily suffer a backlash. In his view, getting involved with this wanted demonic cultivator was definitely not a good thing. If it offended the Gu Emperor city, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, the old man in the phoenix robe showed no sign of panic, coldly snorting, "What's there to be afraid of? Did we invite Ancestor Burning Heaven here? We didn't invite him, he came on his own. He concealed his identity and won the championship in the alchemy competition. What can we do about it? We are also unaware of the situation. If Ancestor Burning Heaven exposes his identity in the alchemy competition, we will have to organize a manpower to surround and kill him, and I will even make several Phoenix Clan Gu Kings die at Ancestor Burning Heaven's hands. Don't worry, we are innocent." The old man in the phoenix robe curled into an extremely sinister smile. Chapter 378 Second Round Rules. June 3, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshan Zaishua Wu Bei Nian Feng Xian Chang was stunned. Innocent? What nonsense. That Grand Tutor was utterly treacherous, capable of devising any underhanded scheme. He was genuinely shocked by the Grand Tutor's grand plan. No wonder the Grand Tutor had the audacity to gamble half of his clan's fortune with a Long clan. If this plan succeeded, it would severely damage the Long clan. After losing half of their clan's fortune, the Long clan alliance would be easily destroyed by the Fen clan. Although the plan carried some risk, the enormous potential rewards made him tempted. Feng Xiancheng took a deep breath, but just as he was about to say something more, a deafening roar suddenly came from behind him. He was startled and quickly turned around. At the same time, deafening explosions echoed throughout the city, the ground shook, flames quickly spread outside, and screams and cries of agony came from all directions, creating chaos. On the other side of the mirror, there was also movement. The explosion could be clearly heard even from the palace, and the sounds of the explosions from both sides were transmitted through the mirror. At that moment, a knocking sound came from the other side, and someone quickly shouted in panic, "Your Majesty, something terrible has happened." Countless fireballs suddenly fell from the sky, destroying all the teleportation arrays in Xianfeng City. The fireballs also flew towards the surrounding cities. Such a long-range attack, I wonder which powerful expert launched it. It's terrifying. The old man in the phoenix robe narrowed his eyes, his fingers tapping the table repeatedly, and muttered, "Could it be him? Only he could launch such a long-range fireball attack. Is he trying to destroy all the teleportation arrays in the nearby cities to prevent the experts from Guhuang City from coming to support us? But this world-famous alchemy competition has attracted countless Gu King experts, and Xianfeng City already has enough Gu Kings." At this moment, Long Zhuan in the inn also heard the deafening explosion outside, and his pupils quickly shrank. This is the power of heavenly fire. There are contestants carrying heavenly fire in this alchemy competition. Long Zhuan's expression turned solemn as he looked towards the door, the pressure suddenly increasing. Without a doubt, anyone capable of devouring heavenly fire was no ordinary person. He had been considering whether to reveal his heavenly fire in the finals, but now it seemed unavoidable. Once heavenly fire was revealed, all other fires would submit. Without it, he wouldn't even be able to refine pills in the finals. Long Zhuan took a deep breath, no longer paying attention to the chaos outside, and began to concentrate entirely on preparing heavenly gold. The materials needed to refine heavenly gold had already been collected by his clones. Now he needed to hurry and refine it, as he would need the heavenly gold alchemy furnace for the upcoming competition. Half a month passed quickly. During this time, many major events and news stories emerged. Long Zhuan was well informed and kept a close eye on the situation outside. His various clones would occasionally return from outside, relaying useful information after filtering. Among these, the information he paid the most attention to was about the contestants who posed a threat to him. For the past 2 weeks, the elimination rounds have continued, and many more alchemy prodigies with exceptionally high scores have emerged, shocking the entire city. Each of the 10 great empires has a genius who scored 97 points, but since this world doesn't have decimals, the scores aren't accurate. Long Zhuan calculated using decimals and concluded that Long Yuao, Feng Shuang, and the 9th Prince Wang Wu, who appeared at the trade fair that day, had slightly higher scores. These 3 deserved his attention. While he only needed to keep an eye on these 3, 2 others made him feel like he was facing a formidable enemy. These 2 were named Feng Jiayu and Qin Dan, and both of them had achieved perfect scores, the same as him. This meant that their alchemy skills were definitely not weaker than his, and might even be stronger, and the possibility of them possessing heavenly flame couldn't be ruled out. Longzhuan couldn't help but feel tense. One of these two was surnamed Feng, and the emergence of such an alchemy master from the Feng clan made him feel pressured. On this day, on the main island, Longzhuan put away his sunset divine flame. A silver alchemy furnace floated silently in the air. The furnace was entirely silver, its body carved with ferocious dragons, their bodies seemingly shimmering with light. This was the alchemy furnace he had just crafted, using celestial gold as its primary material. It had taken him over 10 days to complete. This celestial gold alchemy furnace was no ordinary furnace, it was an improvement upon the devouring demon cauldron. The devouring demon cauldron's characteristic was its ability to control its size at will, but its controllable volume had limits. It would stop growing when it reached a certain size, and it would also stop shrinking when it reached a certain size. He had improved the devouring demon cauldron's runes, reducing them by 100-fold, allowing the furnace body to accommodate runes 100 times larger. Combined with the use of celestial gold, a higher grade material, the celestial gold alchemy furnace could grow to a size 100 times larger than the devouring demon cauldron. It was no exaggeration to say that if you were to enlarge the celestial gold alchemy furnace to its maximum, even the arena in Xianfeng City might not be able to contain it. Similarly, since he could research and develop an alchemy furnace whose size could be controlled at will, he could also research and develop a magic needle that could be made larger or smaller. However, he didn't plan to research the magic needle during the alchemy competition. Looking at the beautiful silver alchemy furnace in the air, Longzhuan smiled with satisfaction. After shrinking and storing the furnace, he slowly walked outside. Today happened to be the day of the second round of eliminations, and coincidentally, he had managed to refine the heavenly gold alchemy furnace before the second round. With this heavenly gold alchemy furnace, his chances of winning this competition would be much higher. The first round of eliminations eliminated 90% of the participants, and the remaining few would compete in the second round in the central square of Xianfeng City. The central square was vast and unobstructed, and would be watched by a huge number of Gu cultivators. The rules for this second round were very interesting. The rules could be summed up in 2 words: skill display. All participants will refine pills together in the central square, with only one chance to do so. They can choose the type of pill to refine, but in this round, each alchemist must showcase their skill. Whoever refines the most difficult pill will receive the highest score. Other criteria, such as the practicality of the pill or the speed of refining, are irrelevant. The only criterion for equal scores is difficulty. This will truly test each participant's courage. While refining more difficult pills will yield higher scores, the failure rate will also be higher. Many will likely struggle with the decision: should they play it safe and choose a medium difficulty pill, or risk refining the most difficult one? It's worth noting that the organizers of this alchemy competition have collected almost every type of spiritual herb in the world. Therefore, you can find the materials here for any type of pill recipe, as long as it's not an extinct herb. However, there's no free lunch. Regardless of the type of pill you refine, since you use the organizer's materials, you must hand over 2/3 of the pill to them. If you only have 2 pills, they will be split equally. This was fair, and none of the participants complained. Given that 2 of his competitors were likely to possess heavenly flame, and their alchemy skills might be comparable to his own, Longzhuan decided to stop holding back and directly use one of his trump cards. If it came to showing off skills, then using his great cauldron pill refining technique was undoubtedly a good choice. Adding thousands upon thousands of ingredients from a pill formula together and throwing them all into the furnace, producing tens of thousands of pills in the final batch, the difficulty of this was immense. No other alchemist in the world besides him could achieve it. Longzhuan would need to cheat on the progress to perfectly execute this difficult alchemy technique. Otherwise, even if he dared to do it, he was likely to cause a furnace explosion. If it came to showing off skills, who could surpass him? He wanted to see what those 2 heavenly flame possessors could use to fight him. He was determined to widen the score gap between himself and those 2 heavenly flame possessors in the second round. Longzhuan clenched his fists. Chapter 379, continuing the bet. Stepping out of his room and down the inn, Longzhuan looked around before heading towards the plaza. His appearance drew the attention of many on the street, their gazes filled with awe. The competition half a month ago had made him famous. Everyone in the city knew his name, and he was considered one of the favorites to win the championship. Naturally, Walking down the street now would attract attention. Today was the start of the second round of the alchemy competition, so the streets were crowded, packed with people, making it difficult to pass. Long Zhuan frowned slightly, but seeing alchemists flying towards the central plaza from time to time, he knew that, like in the previous round, participants could fly. So Long Zhuan didn't hold back. He lightly touched the ground with his toes and soared high into the air, leaping across rooftops and buildings, becoming a blur before landing in the plaza. The central plaza was the competition venue, currently empty, but surrounded by a row of tables, each piled high with valuable stored rings. These stored rings contained the medicines used in the competition. Each ring was filled with spiritual herbs, and signs on the tables clearly labeled their categories. Seeing these storage rings, Long Zhuan was secretly astonished. There were simply too many, every table was completely filled with them. The storage space in these rings was enormous. Most people only carried smaller storage bags and couldn't afford the larger storage rings. The sheer number of rings piled on the tables gave an idea of the sheer volume of spiritual herbs the competition organizers had prepared. These rings were undoubtedly unclaimed and open to anyone to examine. After scanning each ring with his soul power, Long Zhuan's astonishment deepened. All types of spiritual herbs from the Gu realm were present, and to accommodate every one, the quantity of each herb was extremely large. Except for extinct herbs, you could find any spiritual herb you could name in these storage rings. Of course, earth-grade and heaven-grade herbs were excluded. He couldn't help but marvel at the wealth and power of the 10 great empires. The sheer number of spiritual herbs displayed together was truly magnificent, enough to everyone. He wasn't the only one using his soul power to examine these storage rings. Many alchemists stared intently in this direction, equally shocked, pointing and whispering among themselves at the storage rings on the table. These alchemists sat closest to the plaza, including many who were preparing to participate in the competition. Naturally, alchemists would sit at the front of the stage for such a competition. Behind them were a massive number of spectators, so numerous that there were no chairs and they had to stand. These spectators came from all walks of life. Some might be mere rogue cultivators in the spirit-gathering stage, while others might be powerful Gu kings. But regardless of their status, they could only stand and watch the alchemy competition. Directly in front of the plaza was a huge, tiered platform with thousands of chairs. Besides the 100 or so judges, those seated there were also highly respected figures from various regions. One might be an emperor, or a sect leader. Long Zhuan quickly scanned the competition venue, getting a general idea of what was going on, then casually found a chair and sat down, waiting for the competition to begin. As time passed, more and more contestants poured in, and the number of people around Long Zhuan also increased. At this moment, at the very front of the platform, Feng Xiancheng and Long Xiaoyao, these two rivals, sat side by side. Feng Xiancheng turned to Long Xiaoyao and laughed, "Brother Xiaoyao, don't forget our bet. You'd better prepare that top-grade exotic Gu beforehand, so you don't have to worry about it later." Ha ha ha. Feng Xiancheng's laughter was filled with undisguised smugness, as if he had the bet in the bag. How could he not be confident? His Feng clan had infiltrated a 4th-grade alchemist. Which contestant could possibly be a match for a 4th-grade alchemist? He was certain to win this bet. Hearing the grating laughter beside him, Long Xiaoyao glanced at him impatiently and said disdainfully, "It's too early for you to be smug. The outcome is still uncertain. HMPH, it seems Brother Xiancheng is very confident in this round of the competition. I'm genuinely curious, where does your confidence in defeating my clan's dark horse come from?" Seeing Feng Xiancheng's arrogant demeanor, Long Xiaoyao frowned, becoming wary. "How? When have I ever bet with you without confidence? It's just that uncontrollable accidents always happen, causing me to lose repeatedly. This time, no matter how many accidents occur, they can't stop me from winning. I want to raise the stakes. How about we bet 5 top-grade exotic Gu? And they must be ones already bound by blood, not purchased from outside. I suppose you, a 4th-grade alchemist, are wealthy and powerful enough to easily produce 5 top-grade exotic Gu." A sinister smile curled at the corner of Feng Xiancheng's lips. HMPH. With a money-giving boy offering his fortune, why wouldn't I accept? I'll take your bet. I want to see where your confidence comes from. Long Xiaoyao narrowed his eyes at him. If the previous bets were just for fun, this one was a matter of life and death. There's often a world of difference between top-grade Gu worms. Gu cultivators usually only dedicate their resources to cultivating their strongest few Gu worms. These are called natal Gu worms. Natal goo worms consume too many of a goo cultivator's resources, they can't be easily discarded. If he loses 5 natal goo worms, at least half of his fighting strength will be gone, and he won't be able to recover anytime soon. This bet is a high-stakes gamble, and Long Xiaoyao has to be on his guard. Seeing Long Xiaoyao agree, Feng Xiancheng revealed a cold smile and finally slowly stood up. The alchemy competition was being held in Xianfeng City of the Xianfeng Empire, and as the empire's chief alchemist, he naturally had to step forward to preside over the event. He stood up, focused his energy, and loudly proclaimed, "Now, as the chief alchemist of the Xianfeng Empire, I hereby declare the 79th Western Region's Alchemy League officially open." His words caused an uproar, cheers erupting from all directions, everyone's face beaming with excitement. Hearing the cheers below, Feng Xiancheng smiled slightly and gestured for silence. The crowd fell silent. Those who passed the first round were like 1,000 soldiers crossing a single plank bridge. Now, only a little over 1,000 participants remain for the second round. Now, please welcome these 1,000-odd alchemists. Although Feng Xiancheng stood very high, and others were far away, his voice clearly reached everyone in the arena. Hearing this, the alchemists who had successfully passed the second round rose, a hint of pride on their faces, and slowly walked towards the central plaza. The plaza was vast, with over 1,000 tables and chairs, each bearing the name of a contestant. Each contestant drew lots to determine their seat, with the best feng shui location significantly influencing the outcome. The very center seat was undoubtedly the worst, requiring longer time to retrieve the medicine and involving the most neighbors. If any neighbor had an accident, it could easily cause disruption. Long Zhuan quickly sensed the area with his soul power, located the table with his name on it in the center, and walked towards it. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. This flame clone's hand was truly unlucky. There was only one spot in the very center, and he had to draw it. At that moment, Long Yuiao, who had drawn the upper right corner seat, turned to look at him with a smug smile, though there seemed to be a hint of gloating in it. After settling into his seat in the very center of the plaza, Long Zhuan glanced around, his brow furrowing slightly. He was surrounded by people, all very close to him. If any of them were to cause an accident, it could significantly impact him, truly testing the mental fortitude of each contestant. After using his heavenly eye to scan all his competitors, his heart sank. Many of the contestants were Goo Kings. While a Goo King wasn't necessarily a 4th-grade alchemist, the presence of Goo Kings meant the possibility of a 4th-grade alchemist appearing couldn't be completely ruled out, even if the chance was slim. The pressure from a 4th-grade alchemist was immense, and he immediately became vigilant. If several of these Goo Kings were indeed 4th-grade alchemists, he would have no choice but to use his clone to refine pills beyond his level. Refining pills beyond one's level was unheard of in this world, and no one had ever even considered it. He wondered how many powerful figures would be shocked by his display. He didn't want to show off unless absolutely necessary. After all the contestants entered the competition area, Feng Xiancheng shouted again, "The rules for the second round are to showcase your skills. Whoever has the most difficult alchemy technique will get the highest score, but I advise everyone to be realistic about their abilities. You only have one chance to refine pills, and you'll be charged if you ruin all the spiritual herbs. You'd better refine the pills you're best at, instead of deliberately pursuing difficulty. One should know their own limitations and not challenge things beyond their control. That's all I have to say. Now I declare the second round of this year's Western Region's Alchemy Competition officially open. Everyone, get to work." Feng Xiancheng finally sat back down, a hint of anticipation in his eyes as he looked down. He hoped this round would be exciting and not make him drowsy. As soon as he finished speaking, the alchemists on the plaza took out their alchemy furnaces and began warming them with alchemical fire. In an instant, thousands of flames rose in the plaza, and the temperature of the competition area suddenly increased. The flames were multicolored, blue, green, and all sorts of colors. Various wondrous flames, rarely seen in ordinary times, appeared together, dazzling the surrounding spectators. The grand scene of 1,000 people refining pills together also made countless onlookers blush and feel their blood boil with excitement. Chapter 380 The Three Madmen. June 4, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshan Shui Wu by Ni. And the contestants didn't immediately begin refining pills. The first round scoring criteria only considered difficulty. The speed of pill refining didn't affect the score. Therefore, Each contestant planned to observe what pills their competitors were refining before making their own decisions. However, since all the contestants thought the same way, no one actually started refining pills for a while. Even Long Zhuan hadn't decided what pill to refine. He focused his attention on the Gu Kings. He was waiting for them to refine pills. If any of them could actually refine a 4th grade pill, his pill refining plan would definitely have to change. Time passed second by second, and seeing that no one was refining pills for a long time, the spectators were all getting drowsy, some even yawning repeatedly. At this point, Feng Shuang finally lost his patience and cursed, "Damn it! Since no one else is going to make a move, I'll set an example for everyone. Watch closely." With that, he laughed wildly, and under the control of his soul power, the stored rings on the surrounding tables suddenly stirred. Patches of spiritual herbs flew out of the rings, forming lines in the air before converging at one point. Many people began to judge what kind of pill Feng Shuang was going to refine based on these herbs. When they saw that the herbs flying through the air were all materials with both ice and fire attributes, many people's pupils immediately contracted, and someone shouted, "Holy crap! This fat guy is going to refine an ice-fire dual attribute pill. Is he trying to blow us up? Run!" Upon hearing this, those sitting around him were immediately terrified and hurriedly moved away from him. Whether it was the spectators outside the arena or the judges sitting on a high platform, everyone's expression changed, and they began to discuss among themselves. "I never expected Feng Shuang to attempt to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill. This pill's difficulty is beyond just high, it's so high that even most 4th-grade alchemists can't refine it. Tisk-tisk, this Feng Shuang dares to challenge the ice-fire dual-purpose pill. This is going to be interesting, ha ha ha. The ice-fire dual-purpose pill has special ingredients. The clash of ice and fire creates immense destructive power. If the furnace explodes, it could truly kill someone. See? The alchemist sitting next to him is pale-faced, ha ha ha." Seeing that the pill Feng Shuang was challenging was the ice-fire dual-purpose pill, everyone perked up, their eyes sparkling as they watched, no longer showing any signs of drowsiness. "Holy crap! He's actually going to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill. If he fails, he'll blow me up. I want to request permission to refine the pill away from him." A neighbor sitting near Feng Shuang was immediately terrified, raising his hand and shouting, his face pale. Sitting on a high platform, Feng Xiancheng nodded in satisfaction as he saw that Feng Shuang was refining the extremely difficult ice-fire dual-purpose pill. Hearing someone request to change seats, he called out in a deep voice, "The rules cannot be broken. If everyone wants to change seats, how can this pill refining competition continue? If you're a coward, then wait until he finishes refining his pill before you start. Anyway, the pill refining time in the second round won't be used as a scoring criterion." Upon hearing this, the contestants sitting next to Feng Shuang all ran away, 100 or so people disappearing in an instant, leaving the area around him empty. HMPH. A bunch of cowards. Feng Shuang merely glanced indifferently at the group before turning back to continue refining his pill, not intending to be distracted by anything. "Damn it. You want to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill, huh? Then I'll refine it too. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The 9th prince, Wang Wu, gritted his teeth and finally used his soul power to draw materials for the ice-fire dual-purpose pill from his storage ring, preparing to refine it as well. Originally, he hadn't planned to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill. Although he possessed the skill, he wasn't entirely confident. However, seeing his competitor was going to refine it, he had no choice but to change his plans. The ice-fire dual-purpose pill was arguably the most difficult of the 3rd-grade pills to refine. If he didn't refine it, he would definitely be surpassed in points, and he couldn't accept that. So, he decided to raise the bar and attempt to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill, which he couldn't fully master yet. Seeing that he was also preparing to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill, Long Yuiao gritted her teeth and finally abandoned her original plan, preparing to challenge the most difficult pill to refine as well. Then, another piece of material for refining the ice-fire dual-purpose pill flew out from the storage rings on the surrounding tables and slowly landed on the table in front of Long Yuiao. The fact that these two were also preparing to refine the ice-fire dual-purpose pill caused the alchemists sitting around them to turn pale and flee, intending to wait until they finished refining before joining in. Long Zhuan sat a distance away from the three, and with his own defensive capabilities, he wasn't afraid of the damage from the exploding ice-fire dual-purpose pill. Therefore, he remained unmoved, his expression unchanged. Seeing that the three had made their decision, Long Zhuan focused his attention on Feng Jiayu and Qin Dan. These two, like himself, had achieved perfect scores in the first round of the elimination competition, undoubtedly possessing the strongest alchemy skills here, and also putting the most pressure on him. He decided to see what kind of pill they were going to refine first. He had plenty of patience and could rely on them. He wasn't kept waiting long. Soon, the man named Qin Dan revealed a disdainful smile, and under his soul power control, swarms of spiritual herbs flew out from the surrounding storage rings again. Long Zhuan quickly looked at the spiritual herbs flying in the air, trying to determine what kind of pill Qin Dan was going to refine. Half of the spiritual herbs flying in the air were materials used for the ice-fire dual-purpose pill, and the other half were unfamiliar materials, including a top-grade fire spirit stone and a top-grade ice spirit stone. Those knowledgeable in pharmacology could easily see that this person was also refining the ice-fire dual-element pill, but he was refining an improved version, adding many high-grade materials, including priceless top-grade spirit stones. Everyone present was astonished. This person was a prodigy, having actually improved the ice-fire dual-element pill formula. Undoubtedly, the destructive power of the improved pill, should it explode, would be far greater. Given that he had included two top-grade spirit stones with opposing ice and fire attributes, this naturally increased the difficulty significantly compared to the original. If he succeeded, his score would undoubtedly surpass Feng Shuang, Wang Wu, and Long Yuiao. Long Zhuan glanced at him in surprise. The improved ice-fire dual-element pill formula was clearly his own unique formula, the result of countless hours of research. He was actually willing to reveal his unique formula without even bothering to conceal it. However, as long as he doesn't refine fourth-grade pills, it won't be a big problem for him. Chapter 381 Defying Heaven. June 5, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshen Shui Wu by Nian. Truly, geniuses abound. I never expected someone could improve the ice and fire dual-pole pill formula. If he succeeds, his score will probably be the highest in the entire competition. Long Xiaoyao glanced at Qin Dan with surprise, a slightly solemn expression appearing on his face. Suddenly, seeing Feng Jiayu also making a move, he immediately looked over. Compared to Qin Dan, this talent surnamed Feng was the one he truly needed to pay attention to. Feng Jiayu gently waved her hand behind her, and a large number of spiritual herbs flew out from her storage ring, quickly heading towards him. However, all the spiritual herbs flying into the air were enveloped in a gray mist, making it impossible to see the types of herbs within, let alone what kind of pill he was preparing to refine. Feng Xianchang frowned slightly. Although he couldn't see what was in the gray mist, seeing that it came from the third-grade spiritual herb section, it was undoubtedly for refining a third-grade pill. Refining a fourth-grade pill is undoubtedly more difficult than refining a third-grade pill, but it also yields more points. Naturally, he hoped Feng Jiayu would refine a fourth-grade pill, which offered a greater chance of victory. Is she simply too disdainful of using a fourth-grade pill to bully others, or is she intentionally hiding her true abilities? Feng Xianchang frowned slightly, unable to suppress his thoughts. At this moment, Long Zhuan was also watching Feng Jiayu intently. Although Feng Jiayu intentionally kept the pill formula secret, wrapping the spiritual herbs in a mysterious gray mist, she couldn't escape his heavenly eye. This was a pill he had never seen before. Initially, he couldn't determine its effects based on the ingredients. Feng Jiayu seemed to have removed many spiritual herbs unrelated to the formula and burned them in the alchemy furnace. While her small actions might fool others, they couldn't escape Long Zhuan's X-ray vision. Through the remaining spiritual herbs, Long Zhuan deduced the pill's effects based on pharmacology. First, the refining of this pill was extremely difficult, requiring 9 people to use 9 different spiritual fires. A single mishap could ruin everything. Feng Jiayu was doing the work of 9 people, the difficulty of which is unimaginable. If this pill were refined by one person alone, the difficulty would be far more than the sum of 9, it would likely surpass the difficulty of the ice and fire dual-pole pill. The pill's effect seems to be suppression, suppressing everything within the body, including the terrifying heavenly fire and heavenly water within. This pill will be of great use to me. Long Zhuan's gaze sharpened, remembering the heavenly water he hadn't yet subdued in the thunder swamp, and he immediately memorized the pill's formula. Although the others couldn't discern the pill's effect, they could still sense its difficulty. Upon seeing 9 different spiritual fires emerge from Feng Jiayu's furnace, everyone's faces showed astonishment, and they all turned their gazes towards it. Whether it's spiritual fire or heavenly fire, it's best for each person to have only one within their body. Spiritual fire or heavenly fire will devour each other when they meet, and the more stored within, the more dangerous it is. Suppressing 9 spiritual fires within the body simultaneously without conflict is already difficult enough. Let alone simultaneously controlling 9 different spiritual fires to refine a pill? Leaving aside the difficulty of multitasking, simply maintaining a stable state while simultaneously possessing 9 different spiritual flames is already incredibly challenging. Seeing Feng Jiayu using 9 different spiritual flames to refine pills, a collective gasp filled the arena. How impressive! Impressive! Simultaneously controlling 9 spiritual flames to refine pills, the difficulty far surpasses refining the ice and fire dual-purpose pill. I think the highest score in this round of the competition will undoubtedly belong to this mysterious genius of my Feng clan. Ha ha ha! Feng Xianchang laughed wildly, looking at Long Xiaoyao with smug satisfaction. Long Xiaoyao paid him no heed, his gaze fixed on Feng Jiayu in the plaza, his expression extremely grave, growing heavier with each glance. This person's pill refining technique was far beyond what a third-grade pill refiner could achieve. Although this person was refining third-grade spiritual pills, Long Xiaoyao could tell from his technique that he was a fourth-grade pill refiner. This thought immediately made his heart tighten, a sense of foreboding washing over him. If this person is truly a fourth-grade alchemist, then the Long clan is destined to lose this gamble. No matter how high a third-grade alchemist's skill level is, how could they possibly defeat a fourth-grade alchemist? He took a deep breath, his heart heavy, and had no desire to talk to Feng Xiancheng. At this moment, in the square, Long Zhuan finally stopped paying attention to Feng Jiayu. Now that all his formidable rivals had begun refining pills, and he knew what kind of pills these powerful opponents were preparing to refine, he was completely confident. He thought for a moment and finally decided to use the Great Cauldron pill refining technique to refine the Spirit Gathering pill. When he was on the Great Lonely Island, he had tried using the Great Cauldron pill refining technique to refine high-level breakthrough pills, and found that the number of portions that could be added was limited, making it inefficient. The Great Cauldron pill refining technique is not suitable for refining extremely powerful pills, it is only suitable for refining low-grade pills where the number of portions can be added wildly, even up to tens of thousands. Long Zhuan also wanted to use the Great Cauldron pill refining technique to refine the Ice and Fire Dual Pole pill or the King Breaking pill, but the situation didn't allow it. He could only challenge himself with the Spirit Gathering pill, the most difficult of all first-grade pills. Anyway, the scoring standard for this competition was entirely based on difficulty, not the pill's grade. As long as the difficulty of refining a first-grade pill was high enough, he could get the highest score. He refused to believe that refining 100,000 spirit-gathering pills in one batch wouldn't earn him the highest score. Long Zhuan took a deep breath, adjusted his breathing, and beckoned with his finger towards the distance. Immediately, a large number of spiritual herbs flew towards him. After all, he was a favorite to win the championship, having achieved a perfect score in the first round of eliminations. His action immediately attracted everyone's attention. But upon seeing that what flew into the air were flakes of first-grade spiritual herbs, everyone frowned, and a murmur arose from the crowd. What's going on? Why are they all first-grade spiritual herbs? Although first-grade spiritual herbs are sometimes used to balance the medicinal power when refining third-grade spiritual herbs, is it really necessary to use so many first-grade spiritual herbs? There are no third-grade or second-grade spiritual herbs among the spiritual herbs flying towards him. He seems to really intend to refine a first-grade pill. What is he up to? No matter how difficult a first-grade pill is, it can't be that hard. It seems that all the materials flying into the air are for spirit-gathering pills. Could he be planning to refine spirit-gathering pills? Spirit-gathering pills are breakthrough pills for Gu cultivators in the spirit-gathering stage. They are indeed very difficult to refine, the most difficult among first-grade pills. Even second-grade alchemists find it difficult to refine them. But such difficult pills are nothing compared to what's happening here, right? The crowd was in complete chaos, and the discussions grew louder and louder. All the spectators looked puzzled. Long Xiaoyao frowned at him, a look of confusion on his face. But after a short while, his expression suddenly froze, and he muttered somewhat incoherently, "No. No. The quantity of these spiritual herbs is wrong. What is he trying to do? Does he intend to throw tens of thousands of portions of spirit-gathering pale materials into one alchemy furnace and refine 100,000 spirit-gathering pales in one go? Long Xiao's pupils suddenly contracted, as if he had been startled. He instantly stood up from his seat, exclaiming, "What a crazy idea! This method is unheard of. Is this kid trying to defy the heavens? How is this possible? How could this be done? No one has ever refined pills like this before." Feng Xiancheng was horrified, his eyes filled with disbelief, and he too instantly stood up. Behind them, the judges were also stunned by this scene, standing up in droves, their eyes glazed over, their expressions utterly shocked. At this moment, all the spectators realized something was wrong. The sheer number of spiritual herbs flying into the air was overwhelming, practically blanketing the sky. This massive influx of herbs was frantically pouring into a silver alchemy furnace. Some even flew directly over the furnace, dumping enormous amounts of herbs into it. As more and more herbs arrived, the silver furnace grew larger and larger. Gradually, a gigantic furnace loomed over the contestants, and many felt the sky suddenly darken. They instinctively looked up, and their mouths gaped as they saw the enormous furnace above them, filled with a deluge of herbs. Suddenly, the furnace in front of them emitted a muffled thud. In their distraction, a batch of high-quality pills had been ruined. If the crowd still couldn't see what Long Zhuan was about to do at this point, they would be truly foolish. The once boisterous crowd fell silent instantly. Everyone stared in disbelief at the enormous alchemy furnace, mouths agape, utterly horrified. Someone had actually piled up the materials for tens of thousands of spirit-gathering pills together and was refining them simultaneously. This person was insane. Who refines pills like that? It would explode. The power of an explosion from tens of thousands of materials piled together was immense. Thinking this, the crowd turned pale, their eyes filled with terror. Regaining their senses, they frantically ran away. A massive mass exodus began, but the plaza was already packed with people, and the chaos caused by this frantic escape was unimaginable. The competition area was instantly thrown into chaos, countless people were knocked down, and shouts and curses filled the air. Holy crap! This madman, run! He's insane. Many of the contestants in the plaza also turned pale at the sight, immediately stopping their alchemy and frantically running off the stage, fearing they would be blown up if they were too slow. Although this alchemy competition was important, what was more important than life? Long Zhuan's actions successfully scared away a considerable number of alchemists, only the bolder ones remained, gritting their teeth and persevering. Long Yuiao turned and glanced at him, cursing, "Madman," but she still didn't get up and run away, gritting her teeth and continuing to refine the pills in her hands. This round of the competition only offered one chance to refine pills. She couldn't just run away as she pleased. Damn it! Is he insane? Who taught him to refine pills like this? Damn it! How can anyone refine pills like this? If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. Feng Shuang and Wang Wu were startled upon seeing the enormous alchemy furnace in the sky, and both cursed loudly. Such a massive furnace, if it exploded, could truly kill them. How could they not be afraid? What if there was a slight mishap? Both their faces turned grim. But they dared not run. The outcome of this competition concerned the fate of their families. How could they abandon a batch of pills and flee? They could only grit their teeth and pray that nothing went wrong. Qin Dan stared blankly at the enormous alchemy furnace in the sky, his lips twitching involuntarily. He exclaimed in shock, "Tens of thousands of spiritual herbs are combined to refine pills, producing hundreds of thousands of pills in one batch. What an ingenious idea. How come I never thought of that? This is the first time I've heard of pills being refined like this. You've truly brought into my horizons. Interesting. Interesting. It's so interesting. I'll refine pills like this from now on," Qin Dan shouted excitedly. Feng Jiayu also looked up at the unbelievable scene, her expression slowly turning serious. She turned to him and said in a deep voice, "Tens of thousands of spiritual herbs stacked together, what audacity, what a crazy idea. This is the first time I've ever seen anyone dare to refine pills like this. At this moment, your pill refining furnace contains at least several million spiritual herbs. If even one of these herbs fails, it could trigger a chain reaction and cause the furnace to explode. Refining pills like this is almost guaranteed to fail. Aren't you afraid of being blown up?" With his strength, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of an explosion from the alchemy furnace. However, He's now realized that this kid's method of alchemy is far more difficult than his own Nine Flames Overlord body pill. Is it a bit presumptuous of him to try and outdo someone by refining a third-grade pill? If this kid can truly defy the heavens and refine the pill, his score will undoubtedly be higher than his own. Long Zhuan didn't answer him, focusing entirely on refining the spirit-gathering pill. Even he wouldn't dare to be distracted in the slightest when using this method. As one spiritual herb after another flew into the alchemy furnace, the moment they entered, they were instantly melted into spiritual liquid by the furnace's high temperature. Under the control of countless divided souls, his refining time was incredibly fast. These were all first-grade spiritual herbs. For a third-grade alchemist like himself, refining first-grade herbs was a piece of cake. Despite the millions of spiritual herbs inside the furnace, his speed in refining spirit-gathering pills wasn't slow. The time required for refining pills using the large cauldron pill refining technique was roughly the same as normal refining, and saving time was precisely its advantage. And how slow could the refining of a first-grade pill be? Before long, Long Zhuan surpassed all other alchemists, becoming the first to successfully refine a pill. Under the control of his countless divided souls, the massive amount of spiritual liquid inside the furnace began to condense into pill after pill. Soon, the furnace was filled with pills, each one large and full, totaling 100,000. Refining 100,000 pills in one batch was simply astonishing. It was at this moment, perhaps because Long Zhuan's actions were so extraordinary, that dark clouds suddenly covered the sky, and a fierce wind began to blow, making it impossible for everyone to open their eyes. His refined pills had attracted such a phenomenon, leaving everyone speechless. But ultimately, the dark clouds did not unleash a lightning tribulation, which allowed Long Zhuan to breathe a long sigh of relief. "Rise," Long Zhuan suddenly shouted, slamming his hand heavily on the alchemy furnace. Bang! The massive furnace lid swung open, sending 100,000 pills flying into the sky. In an instant, the sky was filled with pills, like a rain of pills. Countless people stared intently at the sky, their breaths rapid. So many spirit-gathering pills, how many marrow-cleansing stage goo cultivators could that produce? Everyone felt a chill run down their spines, completely losing their composure. This kid is truly defying the heavens. Chapter 382 Dragon Emperor. June 6, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshen Shui Wu. By Nian. Countless spiritual herbs rained down from the sky. The judges waved to the air, and one of the pills flew into their hands. Long Xiaoyao held a pill, sensing it with his soul power for a moment. His pupils quickly contracted, and he exclaimed in surprise, "It's a perfect 100% fusion rate." At this moment, the excited voices of the other judges also rang out. "Mine is also a perfect 100% fusion rate. Mine too. Are all 100,000 spirit-gathering pills perfect 100% fusion rate?" Hiss! A collective gasp rippled through the high platform. Feng Xiancheng stared at the pill in his hand with a gloomy expression, remaining silent for a long time. The fusion rate of the spiritual pills refined by each alchemist is different. The higher the fusion rate, the more difficult the pill is to refine. Therefore, the fusion rate of a spiritual pill is also a standard for measuring difficulty and is related to the final score. Feng Shuang, Long Yuiao, and Wang Wu were all refining ice and fire dual-purpose pills. If all three could successfully refine the pills, then the competition would be based on the fusion rate. This kid refined 100,000 spirit-gathering pills in one batch, and each one was perfectly fused. It's truly defying the heavens. Long Xiaoyao turned to Feng Xiancheng, thinking of the 5 top-grade exotic goo he was about to acquire, and couldn't help but laugh loudly. Feng Xiancheng's face darkened. He finally remembered their bet. It wasn't hard to see that since Feng Jiayu hadn't refined any 4th-grade spirit pills, the genius who used this method would undoubtedly have the highest score. This unexpected turn of events caught him completely off guard. He had assumed that with a 4th-grade alchemist infiltrating the Feng clan, he was guaranteed to win. He had even confidently doubled his bet, but who would have thought that such an unexpected turn of events could lead to such a loss? This method of alchemy is unprecedented. Such a groundbreaking achievement deserves full marks, Qin Shuang said solemnly, holding the pill in his hand. I also give it full marks. It would be an injustice if such a difficult alchemy technique didn't receive full marks. Wang Hu took the spirit-gathering pill from his storage ring, openly keeping it for himself. At this moment, the judges behind him finally came to their senses and began to score. All the judges were excited, and shouts of full marks rose and fell. In the end, there was no need to tally the scores. Since everyone gave full marks, the final average score would naturally be full marks as well. As soon as the full marks were announced, the crowd below erupted in an uproar. Feng Jiayu glanced at Long Zhuan with a livid face, secretly sighing that even after dominating the Gu realm and making a great name for himself, he had actually suffered a setback. It was truly a disgrace for him, the dignified Burning Heaven ancestor, to lose to a junior. Qin Dan gave Long Zhuan a deep look, then slammed his right hand heavily on the alchemy furnace. The lid flew off, and 3 round, red and blue pills soared into the air. He caught them as they fell, but his face showed no joy. Clang, another sound of a hand striking the furnace rang out. 1 lid flew off, and 2 round, black pills flew into the air and fell back down, caught by Feng Jiayu, her face equally devoid of joy. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, 3 more sounds of hands striking the furnace rang out. Long Yuao, Feng Shuang, and Wang Wu had all successfully refined their pills almost simultaneously. None of them had failed, they had all successfully refined the ice-fire dual-element pill, which had an extremely high failure rate. The 3 of them caught the falling ice-fire dual-element pills and placed them into the prepared pill bottle. Their faces remained devoid of joy as they looked at Long Zhuan with complex expressions, their eyes filled with resentment. These 5 individuals were all exceptionally talented alchemists, their alchemy speed was incredibly fast, and after they completed the pills, the sound of their hands striking the furnace ceased. The 5 collected their pills and walked towards the high platform. Seeing that they had already descended from the plaza, the group of contestants who had fled the plaza fearing they would be killed by the ice and fire dual-element pills finally breathed a sigh of relief and quickly ran back to the plaza, preparing to seize the time to refine their pills. However, everyone who passed by Long Zhuan gave him a look as if he were a monster. Long Zhuan ignored the stares directed at him. He had already used his soul power to collect all the spirit-gathering pills in the sky and placed them into 2 large vats. 2/3 of the spirit pills refined by the contestants in the alchemy competition had to be handed over to the organizers, with only 1/3 remaining for themselves. After collecting his share, Long Zhuan left the vats on the plaza. He didn't leave immediately, he planned to see what scores the 5 had ultimately obtained before leaving, and a little time wouldn't make a difference. He wasn't kept waiting long. Shortly after the 5 went on stage, their scores were announced. Long Yuao, Feng Shuang, and Wang Wu tied again, each scoring 96 points. Feng Jiayu and Qin Dan both achieved an exceptionally high score of 99, significantly surpassing the other 3. They could have easily scored full marks, but Long Zhuan's performance was simply too phenomenal, the difference was obvious, and they could only manage 99 points. Even so, their scores drew gasps from the audience. Long Zhuan's presence did not overshadow their brilliance. After the 5 were scored, Long Zhuan left, the crowd watching him with godlike eyes, making way for him in fear. Although the second round of the competition wasn't over, and many participants hadn't finished refining their pills or had their scores yet to be determined, Long Zhuan had no intention of wasting any more time watching. What was the point of watching a bunch of extras score? Their scores could never surpass his anyway. He'd rather use his time for something more useful. Back at the inn, Long Zhuan secluded himself, once again entering a state of closed-door cultivation. He was determined to develop the formula for the sea-stabilizing needle, and he no longer cared about the outcome of the competition. Time flew by, and it was already afternoon. As soon as the second round of the competition ended, Long Xiao dragged his weary body into courtyard. After hesitating for a moment, he finally took out a mirror from his stored ring. Soon after, the mirror flashed, and a majestic man in a dragon robe appeared in it. "Why are you contacting me at this time? Did Yu Yao's score not surpass the Fen clan's genius in this round?" Seeing Long Xiao's somewhat troubled expression, the Dragon Emperor asked anxiously. Long Xiao shook his head and sighed. "Princess Yu Yao didn't get the highest score this round. She got 96 points, tied with Feng Shuang. This round, one of my Long clan's mysterious geniuses got the highest score and achieved a perfect score. Then why are you so worried? Even though Yu Yao didn't get the highest score, as long as the person with the highest score is surnamed Long, that's enough." The Dragon Emperor smiled. "Things aren't that simple." Long Xiao's expression was grave. He took a deep breath and sighed. "I suspect that one of the Fen clan's contestants is a 4th-grade alchemist." "What?" On the other side of the mirror, Long Wang's voice immediately rang out. Hearing this news, His expression changed drastically, realizing the seriousness of the situation. Is this true? Are you sure you didn't see wrong? Long Wang stood up, his face extremely grim. Although he's refining third-grade spirit pales in the competition, his alchemy techniques are definitely not those of a third-grade alchemist. I'm 80% certain he's a fourth-grade alchemist. If he really is a fourth-grade alchemist, then the championship of this alchemy competition is practically in the Fen clan's pocket. What should we do? We must think of a countermeasure in advance. Long Xiaoyao frowned deeply, his expression extremely solemn. Chapter 383 The Battle Outside the City. June 6, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu Bai Nian. The Dragon Emperor paced back and forth in the room, his face growing increasingly grim. Finally, he stopped abruptly, looking at him with a frantic expression, and said, I know you. If you say there's an 80% chance this person is a fourth-grade alchemist, then he definitely is. Listen to me, we absolutely cannot let him enter the finals, or the consequences will be unimaginable. The Dragon Emperor's eyes sharpened, releasing a faint killing intent, and he said in a deep voice, regardless of whether he's a fourth-grade alchemist or not, we can't afford to gamble. Now we only have one way, and that is to send a group of Gu Kings to kill him directly. We'll do it tonight, there's no time to delay. The Dragon Emperor revealed a ruthless glint in his eyes. Long Xiaoyao was startled by the Dragon Emperor's words and quickly said, directly assassinating a contestant is probably inappropriate, isn't it? It would easily give us ammunition and severely damage our clan's reputation. The consequences could even trigger a full-scale war between the Dragon and Phoenix clans. Moreover, the Phoenix clan isn't stupid, they're bound to be wary of this. We can't remain secretive either. If this operation fails, we'll truly have lost more than we gained. The Dragon Emperor shook his head and said seriously, I understand the consequences you're talking about, but even the most severe consequences are far less serious than the consequences of our clan losing the bet. Between two evils, choose the lesser. In such matters, we have no choice but to resort to extreme measures. Do you really expect our clan's third-grade alchemy genius to defeat a fourth-grade alchemist? Don't be naive. If we follow the rules, we'll definitely lose. That's settled then. How many of our Gu Kings do you have over there? Long Xiaoyao pondered for a moment, then sighed. All the nearby teleportation arrays have been destroyed by a mysterious figure. Currently, our clan has only researched the transformation paths of the Suogu to the point of teleporting people up to the second transformation. The highest level we can teleport is a Spirit C-stage Gu cultivator, not a Gu King. Therefore, I don't have many Long Clan Gu Kings that I can mobilize in a short time, 10 at most. If we delay our actions for a few days, we will have more manpower and a greater chance of success. The Dragon Emperor immediately shook his head, saying urgently, the time for the third round of the competition is very tight. We can't wait any longer, it has to be tonight. 10 Gu Kings are already enough. As long as he is unprotected, 10 Gu Kings attacking together can definitely kill him. This matter is settled. Go and make the arrangements immediately. Long Xiaoyao sighed again, and finally, a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. He put away the mirror and left. In the inn, Long Zhuan was studying the formula for the Dinghe Divine Needle day and night. He had two purposes in studying the Dinghe Divine Needle. One was to use it to attract a stronger lightning tribulation, allowing the tribulation Gu to complete its second transformation. Secondly, if possible, he could use the sea stabilizing needle to trade with the Monkey King for the 10,000-year monkey wine. He'd heard that the 10,000-year monkey wine could slightly enhance wisdom, practically a divine treasure. And he was willing to pay any price to obtain it. However, since heavenly metal was a grade 3 alloy, Long Zhuan felt it was still insufficient. A grade 4 alloy would be best. A grade 4 alloy is the hardest grade 4 metal produced by fusing a group of grade 4 metals together, which he named sacred metal. He was currently researching the sacred metal formula. To forge the sea stabilizing needle, one must forge sacred metal. However, this meant he would definitely need to forge a weapon beyond his level to create this grade 4 sea stabilizing needle. He figured that since he could forge pills beyond his level, forging weapons beyond his level shouldn't be a problem either. However, just as he was engrossed in his research, a deafening roar suddenly erupted outside, startling him and shattering his train of thought. What's going on? Another fireball falling from the sky? Long Zhuan was shocked. Seeing the flames outside, he feared another fire might fall and injure him, so he hurriedly ran out of the inn. Inside, chaos reigned. Many guests, thinking something terrible had happened, rushed out without even putting on their clothes. Countless people were awakened from their dreams, and the streets were soon filled with people, a cacophony of voices discussing the incident. What happened? Where did that explosion come from? It's from the west of the city. There's a huge fire outside the city, a truly massive fire. This is no ordinary fire, it seems to be the legendary heavenly fire. Someone is fighting with heavenly fire. Heavenly fire? Who is this formidable figure fighting outside the city? Those who possess heavenly fire are no ordinary people, each one is invincible among their peers. After a brief moment of panic, a group of onlookers, realizing the crisis wasn't within the city, decided to watch the spectacle. The rooftops and city walls quickly filled with people, many with poor eyesight even running out of the city to get a closer look. Longzhuan stood on the roof of the inn, using the far-sighted ability of his heavenly eye to observe the direction of the firelight. Others might not be able to see what was happening in the firelight, but with his vision, he could easily see the battle taking place. It seemed that 10 Gu Kings were besieging a mysterious man, but in a 10-on-1 situation, these 10 not only failed to kill him, but were also at a great disadvantage, completely suppressed. The man was single-handedly overpowering 10, and soon successfully killed one of the Gu Kings. With the fall of one Gu King, the coordination of the remaining 9 Gu Kings faltered, and they began to face increasing danger. Defeat was only a matter of time. Longzhuan's expression changed slightly. Who is this person? To fight 10 opponents of the same level and still win, and win so easily at that. Such terrifying combat power was something he had only witnessed in Shi Haojin and Duan Xianwu. Such exaggerated combat power was rare even in the entire Gu world. The more Longzhuan looked, the more solemn his expression became. He had already recognized that the person was none other than Feng Jiayu, the one he had competed against. He never expected Feng Jiayu to possess such heaven-defying combat power. To be competing against such a ruthless figure was incredibly stressful. And those attacking him were all using Long Clan abilities. It wasn't hard to deduce they were all Long Clan Gu Kings. These Long Clan Gu Kings were all quite powerful. But even 10 of them working together were far from being a match for Feng Jiayu. He had already realized that Feng Jiayu had been using the evil Phoenix True Eye to secretly learn the abilities of these 10 Long Clan Gu Kings, and after learning them, she would mercilessly kill them. Otherwise, this battle wouldn't have dragged on for so long. Feng Jiayu had never taken these 10 Gu Kings seriously from beginning to end, treating them like a cat playing with mice. Her lips curled in mockery. The complete version of the evil Phoenix True Eye, Longzhuan's pupils contracted, revealing an extremely solemn expression. This evil Phoenix True Eye can clearly learn any ability, so it's probably the complete version. The complete evil Phoenix True Eye can learn any ability of its opponent, making it absolutely invincible in combat. Perhaps only the complete evil Dragon Emperor Eye, created by Long Dan, can break through it. Longzhuan was greatly shocked that the Feng clan possessed the complete evil Phoenix True Eye. Whether it's the evil Phoenix True Eye or the evil Dragon Emperor Eye, the materials required for a complete version are in the tens of millions, with terrifyingly high upper limits. With Feng Jiayu possessing such an eye, the demise of the 10 Long Clan Gu Kings is a foregone conclusion. Is the Long Clan going to behead any threatening Feng clan contestants? Longzhuan's heart trembled, and he secretly became vigilant. Since the Long Clan would assassinate Feng clan contestants, the Feng clan might retaliate by assassinating Long Clan contestants. He couldn't let his guard down in the upcoming competition. He had to hold on to his 100-mile talisman tightly. If anything went wrong, he would immediately tear up the 100-mile talisman and run away. He wouldn't care about the championship. He refused to believe that there wasn't something in this world to replenish one's luck. Longzhuan took a deep breath and finally jumped down from the rooftop back into the inn. The battle was no longer in doubt, and there was no need to watch any longer. Not long after he returned to the inn, the great battle outside the city finally ended. All 10 Gu Kings of the Long Clan had been killed by Feng Jiayu, not one had escaped. After killing all 10 Gu Kings, Feng Jiayu's figure flashed, and she quickly left, leaving behind only devastation and a raging fire. Soon, one Gu King after another appeared here. After glancing at the traces left by the battle, they all showed solemn expressions. Long Xiao's heart was heavy. He dragged his heavy steps to a corpse. He had intended to try to revive the person with a grade 4 healing pill, but after looking at the condition of the corpse, he gave up. The corpse had completely turned into a dried-up corpse. There wasn't a drop of moisture left in the flesh. How could a grade 4 healing pill possibly extinguish the fire? It's 9 netherworld fire, Long Xiaoyao murmured, his face extremely grim. The 9 Netherworld Fire is the 31st ranked heavenly fire on the heavenly fire ranking, its ability being that it cannot burn without water. This is a powerful flame that is unafraid of water. While water overcomes fire, a natural law, the 9 Netherworld Fire defies this, achieving the opposite. Fire overcomes water. When the 9 Netherworld Fire enters a human body, it can instantly burn away all moisture, leaving only the flesh. Those killed by the 9 Netherworld Fire become irretrievably dried corpses. And the one who possesses the 9 Netherworld Fire is the infamous Burning Heaven Ancestor. At this moment, how could he not see that Feng Jiayu was an alias of the Burning Heaven Ancestor? Long Xiaoyao secretly regretted not investigating Feng Jiayu's identity more thoroughly. Had he known Feng Jiayu was the Burning Heaven Ancestor, he would never have sent 10 Dragon Clan Gu Kings to their deaths. The Burning Heaven Ancestor is ranked 10th on the Gu Realm's wanted list, considered one of the 10 strongest demonic cultivators in the demonic path, an existence even the Gu Emperor city couldn't subdue. How could he possibly deal with him easily with just 10 Gu Kings? Long Xiaoyao clenched his fists. At this moment, he could clearly see that this was a trap set by the Feng clan against the Long clan. The Feng clan knew all along that the Burning Heaven Ancestor was a 4th-grade alchemist, which was why they dared to propose such a shocking bet against the Long clan, a wager of half their clan's fortune. The Long clan had fallen for their trap. At this moment, Feng Xiancheng's furious roar finally rang out from the crowd. These are clearly the corpses of the Long clan's Gu King. What exactly does your Long clan mean by daring to assassinate my Feng clan's alchemy genius? You are utterly shameless. Losing the competition, you resort to such despicable means. And you call yourselves the organizers of the competition? Feng Xiancheng pointed at Long Xiaoyao's nose, demanding an explanation. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 384 Long Xiaoyao's Night Visit. As soon as Feng Xiancheng finished speaking, all the Gu Kings in the audience turned their gazes to Long Xiaoyao, their eyes filled with profound meaning. HMPH. You, a 4th-grade alchemist, surely recognize the 9 Netherworld Flame. Only the Burning Heaven Ancestor possesses the 9 Netherworld Flame. The Burning Heaven Ancestor is the 10th most wanted demonic cultivator on the global wanted list. Everyone has a responsibility to eliminate demons and uphold justice. What's wrong with my Long clan acting on behalf of heaven? Just because he's a contestant, we can't touch him. What kind of logic is that? Long Xiaoyao instantly prepared his words, speaking with righteous indignation. Feng Xiancheng cursed inwardly at Long Xiaoyao's cunning. Long Xiaoyao had clearly attempted the assassination first, only discovering the assassin was the Burning Heaven Ancestor later. Otherwise, he would never have sent 10 Long clan Gu Kings to their deaths. Just as Feng Xiancheng was about to retaliate, Long Xiaoyao didn't give him the chance and said again, speaking of Ancestor Fenchen, I'd like to ask you something. Ancestor Fenchen's surname is Feng, and he comes from your Feng clan. You dared to collude with Ancestor Fenchen to win the bet. You have quite the nerve. Ancestor Fenchen stole the unique secret techniques of various clans. Everyone has the right to kill him. Aren't you afraid of incurring the wrath of the masses? Ancestor Fenchen is on the Gu Emperor city's kill list. Does your Feng clan not even respect the Gu Emperor city? Long Xiaoyao questioned loudly, deliberately making sure everyone could hear. At this moment, all the onlookers looked at Feng Xiancheng with strange eyes. You're talking nonsense. Feng Xiancheng's face changed drastically. He pointed at Long Xiaoyao's nose and shouted angrily, don't you dare slander us. When did we collude with Ancestor Burning Heaven? You need evidence to speak. How would we know why Ancestor Burning Heaven was at the arena? Our Feng clan didn't invite him. He came on his own. What does it have to do with our Feng clan? Feng Xiancheng's face darkened. He had thought he could use this incident to damage the Long clan's reputation, but he hadn't expected Long Xiaoyao to turn the tables on him. If this matter wasn't handled properly, it could incur public wrath and even offend the Gu Emperor city. Realizing the seriousness of the problem, he immediately said, everyone has a responsibility to eliminate demons and protect the righteous path. Ancestor Burning Heaven is someone everyone has the right to kill. Now that he has appeared in the territory of the Heavenly Phoenix Empire, we naturally cannot ignore it. To prove our innocence, our Feng clan will now take the lead in organizing a force to besiege Ancestor Burning Heaven. Our Fen clan is willing to provide 20 Gu Kings. Who else is willing to participate in this demon eliminating mission? As soon as these words were spoken, the scene fell silent. For a long time, no one responded. Everyone knows of the legendary Burning Heaven ancestor. The Gu Emperor city organized a massive force to besiege him multiple times, yet they failed to kill him. How could they possibly kill him so easily? If they truly possessed the power to kill the Burning Heaven ancestor, he wouldn't have come in the first place. Since he dared to travel alone to Xianfeng City to participate in the alchemy competition, he must have been absolutely certain of escaping unscathed. Qin Shang finally broke the long silence, sighing, although this alchemy competition has attracted enough Gu Kings to warrant a demon slaughter order at any time, the Burning Heaven ancestor cannot be killed by sheer numbers. He possesses 3 heavenly flames, the 9 netherworld flame, rank 31st, the 9 heavens bright moon flame, rank 29th, and the extinction of life flame, rank 25. The extreme heat generated by these 3 heavenly flames is unbearable for any Gu King. Under such intense heat, all Gu Kings must retreat. Even 10,000 Gu Kings wouldn't be able to approach him. What use are numbers against the 3 heavenly flames? Only those of equal strength who can counter him, such as Gu Kings carrying heavenly water, can kill him. Without a means to counter him, no matter how many Gu Kings come, it's useless. That's right, Wang Hu said solemnly. The Burning Heaven ancestor destroyed all the teleportation arrays precisely because he feared the Gu Kings carrying heavenly water in Gu Emperor City, preventing any Gu Kings that could counter him from appearing here quickly. With the teleportation array connecting to the central region destroyed, he is now invincible here. Organizing a group to surround and kill him would be suicide. We absolutely cannot anger him now, nor can we disqualify him from the competition. Otherwise, if he gets angry, our group won't stand a chance. Silence fell upon the scene. Long Xiaoyao glanced sideways at Feng Xiancheng. He could easily see that Feng Xiancheng was certain that a human wave tactic wouldn't kill the Burning Heaven ancestor, nor would anyone dare to confront him, which was why he dared to initiate the demon-slaying mission. Since no one would participate, the demon-slaying mission would naturally fizzle out, and the Fen clan's Gu Kings wouldn't suffer any losses. Alright, stop acting. You only dare to say this because you're certain this demon-slaying mission won't be organized. When the Gu Emperor city's enforcers arrive, I hope your rhetoric can fool them. Long Xiaoyao snorted coldly, organizing the Long clan Gu cultivators behind him to leave with the corpses on the ground. The remaining Gu Kings who had been watching the spectacle felt heavy-hearted and lost interest in continuing the festivities, leaving one after another. Many Gu Kings, fearing they would have to participate in the mission against the Burning Heaven ancestor, even left overnight. The name of the Burning Heaven ancestor terrified even the most powerful Gu Kings. In the inn, Long Zhuan was preparing to sleep when an uninvited guest arrived. Seeing the old man suddenly jump in through the window, Long Zhuan was somewhat bewildered. After recognizing who it was, he straightened up and respectfully said, "So it's Senior Long. May I ask if Senior Long has something important to instruct me on for this late-night visit?" Long Xiaoyao looked somewhat weary. Looking at the composed and unassuming genius of the Long clan before him, he nodded with satisfaction, his eyes showing appreciation. "You must be aware of what happened outside." "That's right, our Long clan organized an assassination attempt on Feng Jiayu, but the operation failed. I can now tell you with absolute certainty that the person was the Burning Heaven ancestor, ranked 10th on the wanted list, a genuine 4th-grade alchemist. Now, the Long clan's hope for victory rests on your shoulders. Are you confident you can defeat him?" Hearing this, Long Zhuan's lips twitched involuntarily. Asking a 3rd-grade alchemist if they could defeat a 4th-grade alchemist, wasn't that a pointless question? What were they thinking? He sighed inwardly. Sure enough, Feng Jiayu was indeed a 4th-grade alchemist. His caution was justified. Long Zhuan sighed, saying helplessly, "Senior is joking. That's a 4th-grade alchemist. If I, a 3rd-grade alchemist, were to say I have a sure chance of defeating him, I'm afraid you wouldn't believe me, would you?" Long Xiaoyao nodded, saying bitterly, "Of course I don't believe it, but there's still a chance of winning. Any strong person is proud. If the Gu King were to spar with a Gu cultivator at the Spirit Sea stage, he would definitely suppress his cultivation level to the Spirit Sea stage to fight him. He would never rely on his superior cultivation level to bully others. Alchemists are the same, especially the number 1 alchemist, Ancestor Fen Tian. He is proud. If you were to compete against a 3rd-grade alchemist, he would certainly disdain refining 4th-grade pills to bully others. He would definitely refine third-grade pills during the competition. He didn't use the power of a fourth-grade alchemist in the first 2 rounds, which says it all. What I mean is, if he doesn't refine fourth-grade pills, how confident are you in defeating him? Long Xiaoyao looked at him with an extremely serious gaze, his eyes filled with anticipation. Long Zhuan gave a wry smile. This was somewhat self-deception. How could he hope his opponent would show mercy? While he couldn't rule out that possibility, what if there were more than one fourth-grade alchemist in the competition? Would he still hold back his cultivation level then? Moreover, the stakes placed by the Long and Fen clans in this competition were far too high. Would a wise person choose life or face? In his view, once he pushed the Burning Heaven ancestor to the brink, unless he was a fool, he would definitely refine a fourth-grade pill. If the Burning Heaven ancestor doesn't refine fourth-grade pills, I'm confident I can defeat him. Long Zhuan didn't reveal his true opinion, lest he cause Long Xiaoyao to despair and do something irrational again. Excellent. Long Xiaoyao's eyes lit up, his weary gaze finally regaining its luster. He slowly took a store drink from his finger and tossed it to him, saying earnestly, the rules for the 3rd round are that all participants must enter the Fen clan's medicine realm to gather herbs. The medicine realm is a small world shattered during the War of the Gods. It's vast, filled with spiritual herbs, and solely controlled by the Fen clan. The Heavenly Phoenix Empire's national treasure, the Enlightenment Tea Tree, is planted within the medicine realm. All participants can freely gather spiritual herbs within the medicine realm for 3 days. They must then refine elixirs based on the herbs they've gathered. The higher the value of the elixir, the higher the score. You've probably already guessed the key to victory. Although the medicine realm is overflowing with spiritual herbs, rare herbs are certainly limited. Only rare herbs can be refined into more valuable elixirs. Finding rare herbs requires luck, and the amount each person can gather is uncontrollable. This necessitates that participants collect a sufficient number of elixir recipes, ensuring they can refine elixirs regardless of the herbs they gather. Those with insufficient collection of pill formulas may not be able to refine a single pill in this round, ultimately receiving a 0 score. This store drink contains a vast collection of pill formulas, my life's work, including both teachable and unteachable formulas. If you have a photographic memory, you must memorize all the formulas as quickly as possible. Memorize as many as you can. You only have 3 days. The Long clan's victory in this gamble depends entirely on you. Don't disappoint me. Long Xiaoyao looked at him with extreme seriousness. Hearing that this store drink contained Long Xiaoyao's life's collection, Long Zhuan's eyes lit up with excitement. He hadn't expected such a good thing. Long Xiaoyao was the Long clan's #1 alchemist. His collection of pill formulas was astonishing. The wealth in this store drink was priceless, providing him with a wealth of inspiration when creating his own pill formulas, enough to benefit him for a lifetime. Long Zhuan gripped his store drink, suppressing his joy, and looked up to ask, the rules for the 3rd round are that we must enter a small world to collect spiritual herbs? Wouldn't this give alchemists with farsightedness a huge advantage? Isn't this rule unfair to alchemists without the IQ? Long Xiaoyao shook his head, patiently explaining, once alchemists enter the medicine world, they will lose all their abilities. Except for being slightly stronger than ordinary people, they will be no different from ordinary people. Farsightedness is naturally unusable in the medicine world, as is soul perception. This rule exists to prevent participants from slaughtering other participants in order to plunder more spiritual herbs. The most dangerous thing anywhere is always people. If we don't seal each participant's abilities, out of 400 participants entering the medicine world, it would be good if 100 survived. Those who reach the 3rd round are the most talented alchemists in the entire Western region. We cannot afford to lose a single one. It would be too much of a loss if a large number of the Western region's alchemy geniuses were to perish because of a single competition. Chapter 385 The Mad Dragon Emperor. Long Zhuan suddenly understood. Such rules made sense. The participants who had made it this far were the most talented alchemists in the entire Western region. A large-scale loss would be a blow to the entire alchemy world. If the alchemy competition became too dangerous, no one would dare participate in the next competition. However, with all the participants' abilities sealed, he wondered if he could cheat using the rabbit. The rabbit itself was a spiritual herb, and its perception of spiritual herbs was extremely keen. Finding rare herbs would be a piece of cake for it. The rabbit's keen perception of spiritual herbs didn't seem to be an ability, but perhaps it could indeed be a loophole in the game rules. Using the rabbit to exploit this bug, it seemed like he could win this round for sure. Long Zhuan's eyes lit up, full of confidence for the upcoming competition. Although the third round only lasted 3 days, finding the enlightenment tea tree in the vast world of herbs was like finding a needle in a haystack. But as long as the rabbit was released, finding the enlightenment tea tree might not be so difficult. Thinking of the enlightenment tea tree, Longzhuan tentatively asked, "The competition rules stipulate that participants can freely pick all spiritual herbs in the medicine realm. Does that include the enlightenment tea tree in the medicine realm?" Longzhuan looked intently at Long Xiaoyao. Even though he knew it was impossible, he still couldn't help but ask, "What are you dreaming of? Let's not even talk about whether you can find the enlightenment tea tree in such a short time. Even if you could find it, you couldn't possibly break the protective array." Long Xiaoyao gave him a helpless look and patiently explained, "Have you forgotten what I just told you? Everyone who enters the medicine realm will have all their abilities sealed, except for their superior strength, making them no different from ordinary people. The protective array of the enlightenment tea tree can defend against the Gu King's attacks. How could you contestants, who have lost all your power, possibly break that array? The Feng clan knows there's a national treasure in the medicine realm, so why did they dare let a group of people in? It's because the array there is simply beyond your ability to break. Moreover, the fourth round of the competition involves all contestants drinking enlightenment tea together, and each person using the power of the tea to create a unique pill formula. The more powerful the formula, the higher the score. Therefore, the enlightenment tea tree in the medicine realm must have already had all its leaves harvested. Going there is pointless. Don't waste your time." Hearing this, Longzhuan was overjoyed. He hadn't expected the rules for the fourth round to be that whoever created the most powerful pill formula would win. This round was practically guaranteed. The rules for the last 2 rounds were incredibly favorable to him, as if they were tailor-made for him. It would be difficult for him to lose. If he achieved the highest score in every round, even if the Burning Heaven ancestor was forced to refine a 4th-grade spirit pill in the final, he might not be able to surpass him in points. Alright, this is all the support the Long clan can offer you. Now, hurry up and memorize the pill formulas. I won't disturb you any longer." After Long Xiaoyao finished speaking, he sighed again, turned around, jumped out of the window, and disappeared. Longzhuan went over and closed the window, returned to his bed, and quickly probed the stored ring that Long Xiaoyao had given him with his soul power. After checking the pill formulas inside, the smile on his face grew wider and wider. The number of pill formulas inside was as high as a mountain. Not only were all the common pill formulas of the Gu realm included, but all the Long clan's closely guarded secret pill formulas were also included. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, Long Xiaoyao, despite being a 3rd-grade alchemist, had left behind all the precious 4th-grade pill formulas. These were invaluable treasures. When he created his own pill formulas in the future, these rare 4th-grade formulas could provide him with a wealth of experience. After roughly examining all the pill formulas, Longzhuan tossed the stored ring into the belly of the devouring world toad. Being inherently lazy, he couldn't possibly settle down and memorize so many pill formulas. He'd leave it to his 5 avatars within the devouring world toad's space. As his soul grew stronger, he and his avatars possessed photographic memory. They didn't need to look at the low-grade formulas. If they only looked at those with incredibly potent effects, with the 5 avatars working together, memorizing all the highly valuable formulas within 3 days wouldn't be difficult. Longzhuan's gaze was thoughtful. With a rabbit cheating in the 3rd round, he was now full of confidence. He was currently pondering how to seize the enlightenment tea tree. Seizing the enlightenment tea tree was also one of his goals in participating in this alchemy competition. All participants lose all their power upon entering the medicine realm. Even a 4th-grade array master would be unable to break the protective array of the enlightenment tea tree without all their power. Longzhuan, of course, wouldn't be so arrogant as to think he could do something even a 4th-grade array master couldn't. If his cheat ability was truly a kind of goo worm power, then he probably wouldn't be able to use it after entering the medicine realm, making breaking the protective array of the enlightenment tea tree impossible. He was now thinking, since rabbits could be considered a bug in the medicine realm, could the devouring world toad also be a bug? In the medicine realm, the use of storage bags and insect breeding bags was certainly allowed. Otherwise, how would they store spiritual herbs? What if he took out a mountain from a special device? That would be reasonable, wouldn't it? And it would be reasonable for him to use the mountain to destroy the protective array, wouldn't it? That spiritual mountain that could release astonishingly cold energy was still inside the devouring world toad's belly. Longzhuan's eyes lit up. Although he wasn't entirely confident, he was definitely worth a try. If the medicine world judges the devouring world toad as a storage bag, then things will get interesting. On the other side, after returning to his residence, Long Xiaoyao closed the door and took out the mirror again. Soon, the majestic figure of the Dragon Emperor appeared in the mirror. At this moment, the Dragon Emperor looked anxious. As soon as he appeared, he asked impatiently, "How is the situation? Was that person killed?" Long Xiaoyao sighed, his expression pained, and said, "It was my fault for gathering the wrong information, which harmed them. I didn't expect Feng Jiayu to be the Burning Heaven ancestor. 10 Dragon Clan Gu Kings were killed by him, and none survived. I have failed them." The Dragon Emperor on the other side of the mirror was silent. After a long while, he sighed heavily and said, "This is not your fault. If anyone is to blame, it is me. I shouldn't have agreed to this bet. I should have thought of it earlier. Since the Feng clan dared to propose such a big bet, they must have a sure chance of winning. I acted impulsively. I also believed the Imperial Advisor's divination that I would definitely win this bet, so I risked accepting it. But how can divination be 100% accurate?" The Dragon Emperor gave a bitter smile, and his face aged considerably in an instant. "Now that things have come to this, shall we prepare for war?" The Dragon Emperor's eyes suddenly sharpened, his expression turning crazed. "If my Dragon clan loses half of its national fortune, with the number of geniuses decreasing, the future is very likely to be one of national annihilation, rather than being slowly and steadily destroyed by the Phoenix clan. We should seize the moment when our national strength is at its peak and launch a full-scale attack, wiping out all those with the surname Feng in the western regions." Hearing the Dragon Emperor's insane plan, Long Xiaoyao was immediately startled and hurriedly stopped him, saying, "Dragon Emperor, you mustn't. Things haven't reached that point yet. Don't be impulsive. Losing half of our clan's fortune will have repercussions in every aspect, including war. Luck can influence the outcome of a war. Even if our military strength is 10 times greater than theirs, we could still lose the war due to bad luck. If we do nothing, we might still be able to preserve our lineage. But if we launch a war of genocide, there might not be a single person with the surname Long left in the western regions." Chapter 386 The Four Evil Scheme. The Imperial Advisor predicted that our Long clan would win this high-stakes gamble. The prediction might not be wrong. We still have a chance, Long Xiaoyao hurriedly said. "You mean the genius named Longzhuan might win? You think a third-grade alchemist can defeat a fourth-grade alchemist?" the Dragon Emperor asked in a deep voice. Although he said this, he was much calmer now. "It's not certain. If Ancestor Fenshin doesn't refine a fourth-grade pill in the finals, then the hope of winning isn't non-existent." Perhaps the Imperial Advisor's prediction that our Long clan would win was based on the premise that Ancestor Fenshin wouldn't refine a fourth-grade pill, Long Xiaoyao said uncertainly. "Have you investigated his background thoroughly?" the Dragon Emperor asked again. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and said, "I haven't investigated. The Long clan doesn't have any third-grade alchemists left outside, and I don't know where he came from, but it's certain that his alchemy skills surpass Princess Yuios. The Long clan's hopes of winning will definitely rest on him." The Dragon Emperor nodded and added, "Yes. Send the Gu King to protect him. Although the Feng clan has no reason to assassinate him, this is something we can't afford to ignore. I'll be careful. We absolutely cannot have any more accidents this time. Time is of the essence. I'll go arrange the manpower now." Long Xiaoyao clenched his fist, said goodbye, and finally put away the mirror and left. With his departure, the room fell silent again. Meanwhile, in another inn, 2 old men, a young man, and a beautiful woman sat around a table. The table was full of dishes and wine. "It's really unexpected that Ancestor Burning Heaven is one of the contestants. I wonder if his entry into the medicine realm will affect our plans." Old Ghost Burial Demon frowned and hesitated. HMPH. No matter how strong Ancestor Burning Heaven is, he will lose all his abilities once he enters the medicine realm. As long as he's in the medicine realm, he can't cause much trouble. We don't need to pay him any attention. Jade-faced Rakshasa glanced at him with disdain, then turned her gaze to the scholar-like youth sitting opposite her and said, "White-faced scholar, all 4 of us have arranged for a large number of alchemists to participate in this alchemy competition, but only your people have successfully entered the 3rd round. The key issue now isn't Ancestor Burning Heaven, but whether we can find the location of the Enlightenment Tea Tree within 3 days. Are the people you arranged confident in finding the Enlightenment Tea Tree in the medicine realm? If they can't find its location, then all our plans will be in vain." The white-faced scholar shook his folding fan and smiled bitterly. Who can say for sure about such things? We have far too few people infiltrated, only one. Relying on one person to find the location of the enlightenment tea tree within 3 days is just self-deception. Moreover, everyone who enters the medicine realm loses all their abilities. Once their spiritual power is sealed, they can't use spiritual artifacts, talismans, puppets, zombies, spirit beasts, goo worms. Once these things are disabled, I can't help him at all. He can only rely on luck to find that enlightenment tea tree. If his luck is bad, our plan will probably die in its first step. The pale-faced scholar shook his fan again, looking unhurried, as if he didn't care about the matter at all. Finding a spiritual herb in a small world is like finding a needle in a haystack. In that case, isn't the success rate of our plan very low? Let's not even talk about how to find the enlightenment tea tree. Even if we find it, how to break the tree's protective formation and how to take it away safely are huge problems, the old demon of the burial demon said with a gloomy face. There's nothing we can do. Plans never keep up with changes. Reaching the third round shouldn't have been difficult. Many alchemists in our land of sin can make it this far, but that kid named Longzhuan's actions were simply too outrageous. Our people were terrified, afraid he'd blow them up. They rushed off after only refining half the pills, resulting in failure and elimination. This also means that what was supposed to be half the participants eliminated in this round now only has 200 left. If we could infiltrate enough people, each going in a different direction, the probability of finding the enlightenment tea tree would be quite high. Jade-faced Rakshasa sighed softly. She suddenly thought of Master Wei, whom she had planted. Master Wei had lost contact with her. She didn't know if he had died on the way or if he was one of the remaining 200 participants. The pale-faced scholar closed his fan and said, finding the enlightenment tea tree is purely a matter of luck. We have no other choice, so let's not discuss it further. We should now discuss how to take the enlightenment tea tree if my men do find it, and how to break the protective formation. The people I sent in will lose all their abilities and certainly won't be able to break the formation. This step must be left to us. At this moment, the black-clad elder, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. If you give me a drop of the contestant's blood essence, I can pinpoint his location precisely. I possess the innate spiritual treasure, the boundary-breaking pearl, which can break through the space of the medicine realm. We'll break the protective formation ourselves. The pale-faced scholar looked at him and said, I know you have the boundary-breaking pearl, which is why I am participating in this mission with you, but I understand the boundary-breaking pearl. The Goo King's power is still too weak. Even with the Goo King's power controlling the boundary-breaking pearl, the space it creates can only last for a moment. Are you confident you can break the protective formation in an instant? The formation protecting the enlightenment tea tree is definitely not easy to break. If we can't even use our ability to break the formation, then all our previous plans have been in vain. The Black Mountain Elder said, you know I am a corpse cultivator, using the manipulation and refining of corpses to gain powerful strength, but my corpse refining technique can not only refine human corpses, but also turn the corpses of alien races into zombies. I found the corpse of a giant demon in a ruin. The giant demon is 100 feet tall and incredibly heavy. Perhaps it can crush the protective formation with one stomp. Of course, the time it takes for the boundary-breaking pearl to break through space is too short. My giant demon only has one chance to stomp on it, and it may not be able to crush the protective formation. If the stomp fails, we can only retreat. Trying to seize the enlightenment tea tree is inherently a matter with a very low success rate. We should just let nature take its course and not worry about it. Even if we don't succeed in seizing the enlightenment tea tree, it doesn't matter. The Black Mountain Elder had a very good mentality, with no anxious look on his face. He had already mentally prepared himself for the possibility of failure. The three of them glanced at him with grave expressions. The Black Mountain Elder was the strongest of the four evils, known in the outside world as their leader. He was an extremely rare corpse cultivator in this world. He possessed zombies forged from the corpses of powerful beings surpassing the Goo King realm, as well as zombies forged from the corpses of divine beasts. Many other people's dead, heaven-defying, top-grade goo worms had also been refined into zombies by him, thus gaining endless lifespan and immortality. The Black Mountain Elder possessed far too many inconceivable abilities. Only by joining forces could the other three of the four evils barely contend with him. Now, he had even found the corpse of a giant demon, further increasing his strength. The giant demon was one of the 10 great alien races of ancient times. What Goo King in this world could withstand the giant demon's trampling? Chapter 387 Long Uiao comes looking forward. June 8, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshen Shui Wu Bai Nian. I didn't expect you to have gained anything from this trip. Although you missed the heaven-defying pill, the giant demon's value is by no means much less than the heaven-defying pill. With a giant demon's intervention, the protective formation might actually be broken by force. This hurdle is cleared. Now let's move on to the next topic. If the giant demon really breaks the protective formation, how do we safely take the enlightenment tea tree away? The Fang clan's power is not weak. This step is the most difficult. The pale-faced scholar scanned the three faces and said seriously. The old demon of the burial demon revealed a disdainful look and arrogantly said, "Is there any need to discuss this? No need to waste your brains, just attack directly. We don't even need to lift a finger." Those Phoenix Clan Goo Kings all at once wouldn't be enough for a boss to handle with one hand. Now that the teleportation arrays in various places have been destroyed, Xianfeng City is isolated and helpless. Even if we four evils can't defeat them all by joining forces, we can still break out without any problem, the old demon of the burial demon said arrogantly, showing no regard whatsoever for the large number of Phoenix Clan Goo Kings left behind in Xianfeng City. We must not be careless. Jade-faced Rakshasa frowned, her expression grave. This alchemy competition has attracted a massive number of powerful figures from all over the country. It's possible that these powerful figures might be helping the Fang clan, although the appearance of Ancestor Burning Heaven has scared away a large number of powerful figures. The number of powerful figures in the city is still enough to pose a threat to us. It's alright. Old man Black Mountain waved his hand and said, "I have a corpse king. This corpse king can control millions of zombies. If the rest of the people in the city don't make a move, fine. But if they really dare to meddle, I don't mind letting them taste the power of a sea of corpses. At that time, I won't mind massacring Xianfeng City as well." HMPH. 3 days passed in a flash, and finally the day of the third round of the competition arrived. There were far fewer people on the streets that day, because the competition venue for the third round was in another space, which no one could see, so naturally no one would watch this round. In addition, the appearance of Ancestor Burning Heaven had also scared away many people, including many Goo Kings and low-level Goo cultivators. Many sensed something unusual was amiss, believing a major upheaval was imminent in Xianfeng City. To avoid being caught in the crossfire, they fled the city overnight. With fewer people on the streets, Long Zhuan finally felt less overwhelmed and easily reached the competition venue. The third round's venue wasn't in that tall building or the vast plaza, but in a secluded, deep palace. Long Zhuan followed behind Long Uiao, walking for a long time, passing through several gates, before finally arriving at a hidden spot filled with flowers. A massive silver gate stood in the center of this garden, its frame glowing. Unsurprisingly, this gate led to the medicine realm. Interdimensional teleportation arrays were extremely rare in this world. A large number of participants had already gathered here, whispering among themselves. Long Zhuan was the last to arrive. He counted the participants and discovered that only 200 remained for the third round. He was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected so many to be eliminated in the second round. He vividly remembered that there were tens of thousands of alchemists participating in this alchemy competition, but unexpectedly, after only 2 rounds, only 200 remained. Long Zhuan casually found a place to sit down, his gaze sweeping back and forth across the crowd as if searching for someone. Finally, his gaze lingered for a moment on an ordinary-looking middle-aged face before quickly shifting away. He hadn't forgotten the instructions Jade-faced Rakshasa had given him. The 4 evils of the land of sin were going to join forces to cause trouble in the medicine realm, and chaos was inevitable. How could he not be on guard? However, to avoid being captured and implicated by the 4 evils, he had thrown away all the communication talismans Jade-faced Rakshasa had given him, severing all contact with her. Even Master Wei's identity was fake. She wouldn't be able to guess who among these 200 was Master Wei, no matter how hard she tried. However, to increase the margin for error, the 4 evils had sent far more than just him. He had just scanned the crowd, searching for someone planted by the 4 evils. Finally, he locked onto a very ordinary-looking middle-aged man. This man was in disguise. His identity was none other than Master Shen, the #1 alchemist in the City of Sin, whose alchemy skills far surpassed those of Master Wei. Long Zhuan had used his X-ray vision to examine the goo worms within Master Shen's body in the city of Sin, and the goo worms within Master Shen's body were exactly the same as those within this middle-aged man's body. He was certain there was no mistake. This middle-aged man was definitely Master Shen in disguise, and also someone planted by the four evils. He would undoubtedly cause trouble in the medicine realm soon. After memorizing this face, Long Zhuan secretly pondered what conspiracy the four evils were plotting, and what methods they planned to use to steal the enlightenment tea tree. However, no matter what methods they used, once he entered the medicine realm, he would definitely need to find the enlightenment tea tree first, and then collect the other spiritual herbs. Time was of the essence, otherwise, if the enlightenment tea tree was discovered by the four evils forces first, he would be left with nothing but tears. Long Zhuan touched the insect breeding pouch at his waist and pinched it a couple of times, hoping that the rabbit inside would be helpful enough to lead him directly to the enlightenment tea tree. Just as he was lost in thought, a fragrant breeze suddenly wafted over, and someone sat down beside him. Including you, 11 of our Long Clan alchemists have made it to the third round, which is quite a lot. You should come with us now. If all of us Long Clan alchemists work together, our chances of winning will be much greater. Hearing this familiar female voice, Long Zhuan turned to look at her, then shook his head, saying, "No. Everyone's abilities will be restricted once they enter the medicine realm. No one will kill or plunder inside, so there's no need to stick together. Splitting up will allow us to find more spiritual herbs. Teaming up in the medicine realm is definitely not a wise move." Long Zhuan decisively rejected her suggestion. He was joking. He was going to do something big once he entered the medicine realm, and he couldn't afford to have anyone by his side. Long Yuiao gritted her teeth, looked around, and seeing that no one was paying attention, she transmitted her thoughts through her soul. The team I'm talking about doesn't mean everyone should come together, although the rules of the third round prevent people from quickly plundering spiritual herbs through killing and looting. It's still possible to cheat by teaming up. There's a loophole in the third round rules. If many alchemists from a certain faction enter the third round at the same time, they can concentrate all the spiritual herbs collected by everyone onto one person. This will naturally greatly increase their chances of winning, although doing so will harm the interests of other members of the clan. They will be compensated afterward. This is also an order from our Long Clan's chief alchemist. Originally, the plan was for all Long Clan alchemists to hand over their spiritual herbs to me, striving to refine the most heaven-defying pills, but now I can only let you have it. Don't waste this good opportunity I've given you. Hearing this, Long Zhuan finally understood her intentions, turned to look at her, and said, "No, I, Long Zhuan, disdain cheating. With my strength, winning the championship is a piece of cake. Why would I need to cheat? I wouldn't stoop to such a thing," Long Zhuan said arrogantly. With a rabbit in hand, he truly didn't need to cheat this way, especially since he had important matters to attend to. Therefore, he could only decline her offer. "You?" Long Yuiao pointed at his nose, furious. "How can you be so ungrateful? Even now, you're still so stubborn. That Burning Heaven ancestor is a fourth-grade alchemist. Where do you get the confidence to defeat him? You're overconfident." Long Yuiao continued to transmit her thoughts through her soul. However, Long Zhuan had already closed his eyes to rest, no longer responding to her words. Long Yuiao tried to persuade him earnestly for a long time, but seeing that he remained silent and even closed his eyes, she finally stomped her foot and left in a huff. HMPH. This is something you don't want. You don't want it, but I'll take it. Don't regret it later. Chapter 388 Seeing the Tea Tree. June 9, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu by Nian. Clearly, the Long Clan wasn't the only force sharing the same idea. At this moment, many alchemists with the same surname sat together, whispering and plotting something. Such as the alchemists of the Fen clan, the Qin clan, the Wang clan. After Long Zhuan closed his eyes to rest for a while, the third round of the competition finally began. Feng Xianchang stood before the teleportation portal, looked around, and announced loudly, "Now that everyone is here, let's begin the third round of the competition. I'll repeat the rules. Each person, upon entering the medicine realm, will refine pills using the spiritual herbs they've collected. The final score will be based on the value of the pills. This stage will severely test the participants' knowledge of pill formulas. However, regardless of how many spiritual herbs each participant collects in the medicine realm, They must hand them all over upon exiting. The aura of spiritual herbs from the medicine realm is very special. We can detect them even through stored rings and bags. No one should harbor any secrets. Alright, that's all I have to say. Now, all participants, enter the medicine realm. With that, Feng Xiancheng finally stepped aside from the teleportation portal. The participants took a deep breath, exchanged glances, and then began to walk towards the portal. Long Yuiao glanced at the group of Long Clan alchemists beside her and whispered, "Let's hurry in too. Those who enter first will have more time to gather herbs than those who enter later. Although the advantage isn't significant, we absolutely can't let it slip by." The group of Long Clan alchemists nodded and immediately followed her toward the teleportation gate. At the same time, the Feng Clan alchemists also rushed over eagerly. Long Zhuan, however, didn't compete. He kept his attention focused on the demonic cultivator. He had to keep a close eye on this demonic cultivator, even if he wasn't watching the burning heaven ancestor, he had to keep a close eye on him. Thousand-mile eyes couldn't be used in the medicine realm, so he wondered if he could send a clone to secretly follow him. Long Zhuan pondered. A clone should also be considered an ability, and it probably couldn't be used once inside the medicine realm. But what if you release the clones outside beforehand? Long Zhuan looked around and saw that all the participants had already entered the medicine realm in such a short time. He made a snap decision, walked to the front and back of the teleportation gate, suddenly released all his clones, and then they all jumped into the teleportation gate and disappeared. At this moment, an old man responsible for maintaining the formation in the distance suddenly exclaimed, "What's going on? 205 people from the medicine realm have entered. Isn't there only 200 contestants in the third round? Where did those 5 people come from?" Many people were completely bewildered. Qin Shuang's lips twitched slightly as he said, "It must be that this kid's clones are just too perfect. The formation didn't detect any flaws, and as a result, it judged his clones as other contestants. Is that even possible?" The judges all had strange expressions, their expressions as interesting as could be. Feng Xiancheng's face immediately darkened. Everyone else was collecting spiritual herbs by themselves, but he had 6 people collecting spiritual herbs. Who could compare to him? Wasn't this cheating? Damn it. Your Long Clan is too cheating. He has 5 clones collecting spiritual herbs for him. Who here can compare to him? Feng Xiancheng looked at Long Xiaoyao with a livid face. This is a loophole in the rules. Being good at seizing loopholes in the rules is also a kind of wisdom. Exploiting loopholes is not considered a violation of the rules. Long Xiaoyao stroked his beard and laughed. HMPH. Let him do whatever he wants, he's bound to lose this alchemy competition. Feng Xiancheng turned to look at the teleportation gate, no longer bothering to argue. In his opinion, even if this person had 5 clones, his speed in collecting spiritual herbs couldn't keep up with the combined efforts of more than 10 Feng Clan alchemists. Moreover, Feng Jiayu was a 4th-grade alchemist. Even if he worked himself to death, he wouldn't be able to defeat a 4th-grade alchemist. It was a sure win, so he didn't bother to argue. After entering the medicine realm, Long Zhuan immediately felt the fresh air and abundant spiritual energy, far surpassing the outside world. He couldn't help but take a deep breath, instantly feeling refreshed. As expected of the medicine realm, so many spiritual herbs. Long Zhuan looked around, unable to help but click his tongue in amazement. There were simply too many spiritual herbs here, covering the mountains and fields, and the variety was extremely rich. The medicine realm was vast. If other places had such a dense concentration of spiritual herbs, the quantity here would be unimaginable. At this moment, he could easily see that this was a massive medicinal garden belonging to the Feng Clan. This garden could bring immense benefits to the Feng Clan, and it was likely that it played a significant role in the enormous quantity of spiritual herbs prepared for the second round. Long Zhuan glanced at it briefly, ignoring the spiritual herbs scattered everywhere. After his life flame clone caught up with the demonic cultivator, he and the other clones scattered. Although there were many spiritual herbs here, most were only 1st or 2nd grade, which naturally didn't interest him. Time was limited, and he had to spend all his time collecting rare spiritual herbs, not wasting time on worthless ones. The other contestants clearly shared the same mentality. Despite the abundance of spiritual herbs near the teleportation gate, no one picked them, ignoring all the herbs and choosing a direction to head deeper into the area. Long Zhuan's physical strength was formidable, and with everyone's abilities sealed, his speed was obviously the fastest here. Although he was the last to enter the medicinal realm, he quickly overtook everyone else, leaving them far behind. The contestants behind him gritted their teeth and could only change direction and run away. They dared not follow him, fearing he would pick all the spiritual herbs ahead, leaving them without even a sip. After leaving all the other contestants far behind, Longzhuan looked back and, seeing no one could see him, finally relaxed and opened his insect-breeding pouch. Since entering the herb realm, the rabbit in the pouch had been frantically thrashing about, clearly sensing a heaven-defying spiritual herb. It only went berserk after sensing such a herb. If he wasn't mistaken, the heaven-defying spiritual herb he sensed was most likely the enlightenment tea tree. Overjoyed, Longzhuan, having left everyone behind, finally dared to release the rabbit. The rabbit immediately jumped into the ground and disappeared, using earth. Earth is a type of escape technique, to travel swiftly in a certain direction. Longzhuan sensed its location and excitedly gave chase. Along the way, Longzhuan encountered countless rare spiritual herbs that tempted him, but priorities were paramount. Faced with the enlightenment tea tree, he had to abandon these rare herbs. 5 hours later, the rabbit crashed heavily into a semicircular barrier, letting out a miserable cry before sitting down on its backside. A large bump quickly grew on its head, and its eyes welled up with tears. Longzhuan didn't offer any comfort. His attention was completely captivated by the tea tree within the barrier. Gazing at the tall tea tree in the center of the barrier, his breathing quickened, and his heart pounded. Is this the enlightenment tea tree? Longzhuan suppressed his excitement, carefully examining the divine tree without approaching rashly. The enlightenment tea tree was very tall, magnificent, and upright, brimming with vitality. It was truly extraordinary. However, the tree was completely bare, without a single leaf, clearly having been picked clean. Longzhuan was greatly disappointed, secretly sighing that, just as Long Xiaoyao had predicted, the tea leaves on the enlightenment tea tree had long been picked clean by the Feng clan's Gu cultivators. Chapter 389 Longzhuan's Scheme. June 10, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu Bai Nian. It doesn't matter that the enlightenment tea tree has been stripped of its leaves. With a medicinal Gu, it won't be long before the enlightenment tea tree regrows its leaves. After admiring the enlightenment tea tree for a moment, Longzhuan finally took the devouring world toad out of the breeding bag. He casually picked up a boulder from the ground and threw it into its mouth, then ordered it to spit it out. Things were as he expected. The devouring world toad could eat or spit things out in the medicinal realm, and its normal basic biological abilities were not subject to restrictions. Therefore, ordering the devouring world toad to spit out the spirit mountain to destroy the formation was entirely possible. However, the spirit mountain was enormous. If it fell, it might destroy the enlightenment tea tree as well, and the commotion would be too great. He wondered if the weight of the treasures inside the devouring world toad could directly affect it, giving it the power to crush everything. Longzhuan pondered this, finding this method feasible and less disruptive. But he didn't act immediately. This matter cannot be handled brute force. Simply stealing the enlightenment tea tree is definitely not an option. A clever approach is needed. Otherwise, with only 200 people here, it wouldn't be difficult for Feng Shi to find out who stole the enlightenment tea tree by checking them one by one. He also needs a scapegoat, and he already has someone in mind. 2 hours later, a strangely shaped toad hopped onto the barrier. Despite its small size, the barrier beneath its feet was visibly cracking. Soon, the barrier collapsed, leaving a large hole in the semicircular barrier. The devouring world toad also fell down. It really works. Longzhuan's eyes lit up, and he clapped his hands excitedly. The weight of the treasure inside the devouring world toad could indeed affect it. The goo worm he had researched was truly heaven-defying. Without a second thought, Longzhuan leaped into the large hole, ran to the enlightenment tea tree at top speed, broke off a branch, and slapped a wisp of sunset divine flame into the trunk. Then, he picked up the devouring world toad, which was trying to devour the enlightenment tea tree, and left. His plan was simple. Taking the entire enlightenment tea tree wouldn't work. He wasn't confident he could perfectly evade the Feng clan's investigation. Therefore, he decided to take only a branch, letting the four evils take the whole tree to draw all of the Feng clan's attention. Then, the four evils would be the ones who stole the enlightenment tea tree, and no one would suspect them. The sunset divine flame he had just slapped into the trunk was timed. When the time was up, it would explode, instantly burning the enlightenment tea tree to ashes. The enlightenment tea tree was unique in the world. Only after its death would a second one sprout. When the enlightenment tea tree was destroyed by the heavenly fire, the branch he held could regrow into a towering tree. This plan was perfect. Anticipating that in the rush, the four evils wouldn't carefully inspect the enlightenment tea tree for tampering, the destruction of the tree would only lead the Feng clan to believe it was the four evils. With the evidence destroyed, the Feng clan would never know a branch was missing. Hairhead. Long Zhuan revealed a sinister smile and ran further and further away. Soon, an ordinary-looking middle-aged man appeared. He had just been chasing someone who had ambushed him, and the chase had led him here, where the attacker had vanished. But now he had no interest in searching for the attacker. Staring intently at the enlightenment tea tree within the barrier, his emotions running high, he no longer cared about the attacker. Ha ha ha. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. I never expected to find the enlightenment tea tree so quickly. It's truly a stroke of luck. At this moment, a black giant demon, hundreds of feet tall, slowly walked from outside the city. The giant demon released a thick aura of death, and with each step, it left a deep footprint in the ground. Under the giant demon's movement, the entire ground shook violently, like an earthquake. Rumble, the black giant demon reached the sky above Xianfeng City and stomped down, shattering the city's protective array. Screams erupted from within the city. Several unlucky souls were directly trampled under the giant's feet, clearly beyond saving. Nearby people began to flee frantically, and the city was in chaos. It's the long-extinct giant demon. Where did this Black Mountain Elder find the giant demon's corpse? It's still intact. Long Xiaoyao looked at the enormous creature entering the city, his face grave. How dare you? Old man Black Mountain. Who gave you the audacity to act so presumptuously in Xianfeng City? Feng Xiancheng, his face ashen, glared at the four villains who had already flown into the city, his anger barely contained. For a demonic cultivator to cause trouble on such an important day was clearly a blatant disregard for the Xianfeng Empire's royal family. If this matter wasn't handled properly today, the royal family would suffer a huge loss of face. How? You're Feng Xiancheng, right? We, the four villains, have come today to borrow something from your Xianfeng Empire's royal family. We hope you won't be so stingy. Old man Black Mountain chuckled, taking out a transparent bead and tossing it into the sky. The next moment, the bead forcibly tore a rift in space. Seeing this, Feng Xiancheng's pupils constricted, and he roared, "Not good. This is the innate spiritual treasure, the boundary-breaking bead." He used the boundary-breaking bead to open the medicine realm. They want to seize the enlightenment tea tree. All the Feng clan Gu kings have come to protect the treasure. As his words fell, powerful auras soared into the sky, heading straight for the giant demon. However, they were ultimately a step too late. The giant demon had already reached its massive hand into the medicinal realm, shattering the barrier with a single blow and uprooting the enlightenment tea tree, which had already lost a branch. But at this point, who could notice that the enlightenment tea tree was missing an inconspicuous branch? The Black Mountain Elder didn't have time to examine the enlightenment tea tree either. After tossing it into his storage ring, he turned and shouted, "Success! Let's retreat." The other three villains were overjoyed. They hadn't expected their mission to be so successful. It was as if divine intervention had smiled upon them. The three followed behind the giant demon, beginning the breakout. "You're courting death. Leave the enlightenment tea tree behind." Seeing this, Feng Xiancheng's eyes widened in fury. He charged forward like a madman. And the city's army and a massive number of Feng clan Gu cultivators surged towards the four like a tidal wave. The four evils were now surrounded, with members of the Feng clan everywhere. Yet, they showed no fear, completely disregarding the surrounding Feng clan Gu cultivators. HMPH. A bunch of ants. Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish. The Black Mountain Elder took down his corpse-raising bag and released 10 zombies of various appearances, which then attacked. The other three evils also displayed their abilities. The burial demon Old Ghost released a swarm of vengeful ghosts from his ghost-raising bag, the white-faced scholar released a group of spirit beasts from his beast-taming bag, and the jade-faced Rakshasa released a swarm of goo worms from his insect-breeding bag. The giant demon cleared the way, most of the goo cultivators' attacks seeming like mere tickles. With each stomp, large numbers of Imperial guards perished beneath its feet, screams echoing below as countless buildings crumbled into ruins. In the melee, the Feng clan clearly held a numerical advantage, yet they were at a disadvantage against the four evils. Phoenix clan experts were frequently falling victim to the four evils. The Phoenix clan's Gu cultivators quickly suffered heavy losses under their slaughter, and the battlefield was rapidly pushed to the city gates, seemingly on the verge of a breakout. The four evils' fighting power was terrifyingly formidable, stunning all the onlookers from various races. Just then, a furious shout echoed from deep within the palace. "Insolence! How dare you wreak havoc in my Phoenix Heaven City? If I let the four of you leave today, what will become of the Phoenix royal family's reputation? Today, I will spare no expense to annihilate you." A gaunt old man in a phoenix robe flew out from the depths of the palace, heading straight for the Black Mountain Elder. "Ha ha ha! Phoenix Emperor, you've finally decided to come out? I've been waiting for a long time. Today, I'll see just how strong the renowned Phoenix Emperor truly is." The Black Mountain Elder's expression hardened. He pushed aside Feng Xiancheng and charged towards the Phoenix Emperor. Chapter 390, Taking the Blame. June 11, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu. By Nian. In the medicine realm, Long Zhuan stared in shock at the crack that had suddenly appeared in the sky. What was that just now? Such a huge arm. It shattered the barrier with a single palm strike. Who could wield such terrifying power? Recalling the terrifying scene he had just witnessed, his expression grew increasingly solemn. He was now quite far from the Enlightenment Tea Tree. The reason he could see so far was because all his abilities had been restored, and he could use his 1,000-mile eye again. It seemed that the recent incident had caused some change in the medicine realm. This made Long Zhuan's face even more grim. The restoration of his abilities was not good news for him. Since he could use his abilities in the medicine realm, the other contestants could probably do the same. There were Gu Kings among the contestants, and more than one. If the Gu King's abilities were not restricted, they might indiscriminately slaughter the other contestants to plunder more spiritual herbs, which would put him in danger. As the current number one in total score, he might attract the murderous intent of many. Upon realizing this, Long Zhuan's expression immediately changed, and he thought to himself, "Damn it, he had to leave this place as quickly as possible." A major upheaval had occurred in the medicine realm. He couldn't linger here any longer. Long Zhuan gritted his teeth and hurriedly ran towards the teleportation portal. Although there was still a considerable amount of time before the competition ended, he planned to leave early and wasn't prepared to take any more risks. His clone had collected enough spiritual herbs for him. He could always borrow some more from Long Yuao. However, plans are always subject to change. He had originally intended to cheat with a rabbit to get another first place, but now he had given up on that idea. He was content to just get through this round. He didn't ask for more. Unbeknownst to Long Zhuan, shortly after he left, the Burning Heaven ancestor appeared at the location of the Enlightenment Tea Tree, gazing thoughtfully at the deep pit suddenly dug in the ground. So late. Who stole it? They were quick enough, but it doesn't matter. My main body is waiting outside. No matter who stole the Enlightenment Tea Tree, they won't escape from my grasp. Ancestor Burning Heaven's lips curled into a wicked smile. Entering the medicine realm would cause him to lose all his abilities, making him feel extremely insecure. Coupled with his arrogance and disregard for the other contestants, he had only sent an avatar to this round of the competition, keeping his main body hidden outside. Suddenly, he looked into the distance and sneered, "Now that my strength has been restored, I'll take the spiritual herbs from the other contestants. I don't have time to search the world for them." He used his soul power to sense his surroundings, located his target, and flew towards it. Just as Long Zhuan had predicted, once the Gu King's abilities were restored, he was indeed preparing to wreak havoc. Ancestor Burning Heaven wasn't the first. There were many Gu Kings who were too lazy to collect spiritual herbs. At this moment, the medicine realm was already engulfed in slaughter, with fighting everywhere. Most of the participants shared the same thought as Long Zhuan. Once their abilities were restored, they realized the danger and hurriedly ran towards the teleportation portal, abandoning their plans to collect more spiritual herbs, fearing they would be targeted by the Gu King if they were too slow. Meanwhile, outside. Ha ha ha. The Phoenix Clan Gu King was indeed pathetic. We four alone slaughtered him to pieces. Our 100,000 Imperial Guards were easily routed. What a satisfying battle. Ha ha ha. The arrogant laughter of the old demon burial echoed through the mountains. At this moment, the four evils had successfully broken through the encirclement, shaken off their pursuers, and escaped to a mountain forest. The jade-faced Rakshasa glanced behind her, saw no one chasing her, and chuckled easily. I didn't expect this trip to be so smooth. Not only did we find the Enlightenment Tea Tree in such a short time, but breaking through was also much easier than I imagined. We escaped so quickly. The Black Mountain Elder nodded, disdainfully saying, I overestimated the Phoenix Emperor. I didn't expect him to be so weak. Once he was seriously injured, all the Goo Kings rushed to protect him. Under these circumstances, a large gap would inevitably appear in the encirclement, making our escape effortless. Otherwise, even if we could escape, we could never have done so quickly. The Black Mountain Elder revealed a smug expression, raising his hand and looking at the stored ring on his middle finger. At this moment, his smile suddenly froze on his face, because he saw the stored ring cracking little by little, and his pupils suddenly contracted. Not good, the Black Mountain Elder shouted, but he had no time to react. The storage ring had already exploded in his hand. Boom! A deafening roar suddenly erupted from the center of the group of four. A massive, crimson inferno instantly engulfed the Black Mountain Elder, and the other three villains, caught completely off guard, were also swallowed by the flames. Screams of agony echoed from within the inferno. Moments later, the fire subsided, revealing the four villains. However, they were now in a sorry state, their faces blackened, their hair singed, and their clothes, which had remained neat even after the fierce battle, were now tattered. The explosion had been incredibly sudden. The four were caught completely off guard and struck head-on by the unexpected blast. Of course, that small wisp of sunset divine flame wouldn't kill them, or even cause them minor injuries. While the damage wasn't great, it was humiliating. These four villains, who had dominated the scene for years, had never been outmaneuvered before. Their faces were grim, their expressions as ugly as could be. This was truly a case of joy turning to sorrow. Damn it! Who did this? So despicable. He's the first person to have tricked me like this, the demon-bearing old ghost cursed, his words dripping with malice. Boss, is the enlightenment tea tree still there? The pale-faced scholar looked anxiously at the Black Mountain Elder and asked hastily. What do you think? All the valuables in my storage ring were burned. How could that tree possibly remain? The Black Mountain Elder's face was ashen, his fists clenched tighter and tighter, he was about to explode with rage. Damn it! I never expected to fail here. Who did this? The jade-faced Rakshasa said in a fit of rage. The Black Mountain Elder shook his head, took a deep breath, and said, I don't know. But there's no way this enlightenment tea tree can be revived. This isn't a place to stay. Let's leave first. We'll talk about this later. The other three evil ones nodded in unison and continued flying forward with reluctance. However, not long after, the four of them were blocked by someone. Upon seeing this person, the four evil ones' expressions turned serious, and they slowly stopped. Ancestor Burning Heaven, Old Man Black Mountain frowned, his expression turning grave. Since you will recognize me, then obediently hand over the enlightenment tea tree, and I'll spare your lives. Ancestor Burning Heaven looked at the four of them and said arrogantly, showing no regard for the four evils. Old Man Black Mountain's expression turned bitter. They had come to ask for the enlightenment tea tree, but he didn't have it on him at all. Even if he were beaten to death, he couldn't produce it. Yet, everyone in the world would assume that the enlightenment tea tree was on him. He couldn't help but curse inwardly. I'm sorry. The enlightenment tea tree has already been burned. Please leave. Old Man Black Mountain could only tell the truth. Hearing this, Ancestor Burning Heaven's face darkened, and the murderous intent in his eyes was released without any concealment. Do you think I'll believe what you say? Ancestor Burning Heaven said in a deep voice. Believe it or not, it's up to you. You really think the four of us villains are afraid of you when we join forces? The Black Mountain Elder knew that the Burning Heaven ancestor wouldn't believe his words, and this battle was ultimately inevitable, so he became increasingly impolite. You're courting death. I see you're asking for it. The Burning Heaven ancestor finally lost his patience, stopped talking nonsense, and charged towards the four at top speed. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 391 Continuing to Show Off. June 11, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshan Zai Shui Wu Bai Ni in Your Courting Death, Corpse Transforming Palm. Old Man Black Mountain struck out with a palm at the charging Burning Heaven ancestor. Unexpectedly, an eye appeared between the Burning Heaven ancestor's brows. Corpse Transforming Palm, he unleashed the exact same palm technique, clashing with Old Man Black Mountain. The two palms collided, and while Burning Heaven ancestor remained unmoved, Old Man Black Mountain was sent flying. He finally crashed into a tree before stopping, staggering back a few steps. He looked up at Old Man Black Mountain, His eyes filled with disbelief. This is my unique heavenly grade ultimate technique, corpse transforming palm. How is this possible? The other three evil ones exchanged glances, their brows furrowed, their expressions extremely grave. Attacked together, the three exchanged a look and charged towards burning heaven ancestor. HMPH. You're courting death. Since you want to die, then I'll grant your wish. The burning heaven ancestor roared in fury, and three great heavenly flames suddenly shot out from his body. The surrounding temperature soared, and the flowers, grass, and trees instantly ignited under the intense heat. The forest was engulfed in flames in an instant, a sea of fire everywhere. Meanwhile, in Xianfeng City, due to the sudden turn of events, all the contestants had fled from the medicine realm ahead of time. Everyone wore expressions of fear, and many were disheveled, covered in blood and bearing serious injuries. Seeing this scene, the judges' faces turned ashen. After counting the number of participants, they discovered that only 100 had emerged. All the judges' expressions darkened. That's already a lot. If the burning heaven ancestor wanted to, he could easily have killed everyone inside. It seems he wants to defeat all his competitors fairly and squarely on the field. He hasn't touched a single true genius alchemist. It's fortunate amidst misfortune, Qin Shuang sighed with relief. HMPH. So, we should thank him, Wang Hu sneered, his expression darkening further upon seeing that at least half of the Wang family's alchemists had perished. Each alchemist who reached the third round was a top-tier genius of the Wang family. Losing even one was a significant loss. With so many talented alchemists lost, the meager rewards from the competition couldn't possibly compensate for the losses, so how could he possibly be happy? If anyone had the worst expression, it would undoubtedly be Feng Xiancheng. With the national treasure, the Enlightenment Tea Tree, missing, and the city in chaos, he had no mind to preside over the competition. However, this Grand Western region's alchemy competition could not be interrupted, so he had no choice but to grit his teeth and continue. He stepped forward and sighed. There was a slight mishap. All the participants came out before the competition time was up. This was a mistake on the part of the Feng clan, and I apologize. However, although everyone has been in the medicine realm for a relatively short time and has not collected many spiritual herbs, everyone is on the same starting line, so it is still fair. Now, everyone, please reveal the spiritual herbs you have collected. After Feng Xiancheng finished speaking, all the participants found a table and sat down. Taking out the spiritual herbs they had collected from their storage rings and placing them on the table. The spiritual herbs produced in the medicine realm have a special aura, and no one would use spiritual herbs that do not belong to the medicine realm to pass off as their own. Long Zhuan also finally placed the spiritual herbs he had collected on the table. The Enlightenment Tea Tree branch belongs to the medicine realm, but naturally, it could not be taken out. To avoid being detected by the Feng clan, he had ordered the Suogu to move the Enlightenment Tea Tree branch away as soon as his abilities were restored in the medicine realm, so they would never be able to detect it even if they worked themselves to death. Before long, he had taken out all the spiritual herbs he had collected, filling half the table. The quantity wasn't large, but due to the cheating with his clone, his quantity was already considered large among all the contestants. Of course, this was only compared to ordinary alchemists. The Burning Heaven ancestor and Qin Dan had brought out far more spiritual herbs than him, piling them to the brim, even overflowing. It was unknown how many people they had killed to plunder so many herbs. Long Yuiao, Feng Shuang, and Wang Wu, due to the cheating of many of their clansmen, also had more spiritual herbs than him. Long Zhuan glanced at them out of the corner of his eye, his brow furrowing. A larger quantity of spiritual herbs meant more choices, which was extremely disadvantageous for him in this round. Although he had achieved perfect scores in the first two rounds, he was only 1 point ahead of the Burning Heaven ancestor and Qin Dan. If he didn't handle this round well, not only would his previous advantage vanish, but he would also be left far behind by many other contestants. Long Zhuan immediately felt the pressure. Long Xiaoyao glanced over and frowned, noticing the limited number of spiritual herbs on his table. Are you confident this round? Long Xiaoyao asked anxiously via soul transmission. However, he felt he'd asked a pointless question. Even if Long Zhuan said he was confident, he wouldn't believe him. No problem. Even if I can't beat everyone, I definitely can't lose. The score shouldn't be too far apart, but I need time, Long Zhuan replied via soul transmission, forcing a smile. His number of spiritual herbs was far less than the other two. If he didn't change his strategy, he was destined to lose this round. and by more than 1 point. Given this situation, he had to find another way. The competition rules required each participant to refine a spiritual pill based on the herbs they collected. The higher the value of the pill, the higher the score. With limited herbs, his only option to get the highest score was to create a pill formula from the available herbs. He had to resort to some trickery. The time allotted for finding medicinal herbs in the medicine realm is 3 days, and the time allotted for refining pills is 1 day. Now, due to the sudden change, all the participants have emerged in less than a day. In other words, according to the competition rules, he still has at least 3 days available. And since he's not researching an elixir that can attract extraordinary phenomena, the time is more than enough. Thinking this, he closed his eyes, his consciousness entering the soul study, and began studying the pill formula at top speed. No one noticed his strange behavior. Seeing that all the participants had taken out their medicinal herbs, Feng Xiancheng said, "Now that all the participants have collected their herbs, let's begin refining pills." He said no more. Except for Long Zhuan, who was resting with his eyes closed, all the participants immediately took out their alchemy furnaces and threw the medicinal herbs from their tables into them one after another. Ancestor Fen Bian and Qin Dan glanced at all the participants' tables, revealing disdain. Perhaps because they felt victory was assured, or perhaps because they disdained to use 4th-grade pills to cheat, they were actually refining 3rd-grade pills this round. Seeing that the Burning Heaven ancestor had thrown 3rd-grade spiritual herbs into the furnace, Long Xiaoyao, who had been focusing his attention on this side, felt relieved. He sighed inwardly, confirming his suspicions. As expected, the Burning Heaven ancestor, with his arrogance, would never refine 4th-grade pills unless absolutely necessary. However, because he had slaughtered so many contestants, he possessed the most spiritual herbs, making it easy for him to achieve the highest score even with 3rd-grade pills. Long Xiaoyao looked tense and glanced at Long Zhuan, who was sitting there with his eyes closed, meditating. He frowned deeply. What on earth is he up to? Long Xiaoyao looked over, inwardly annoyed. He was told to cheat, and he arrogantly said he wouldn't, but now that he had far fewer spiritual herbs than his competitors, he'd overdone it, thinking he could solve everything by closing his eyes. If all the Dragon Clan contestants combined their spiritual herbs, their quantity would be at least half that of those two. Even if they couldn't win, the gap wouldn't be too large. Now, things are in big trouble. Chapter 392 The competition begins. June 11, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshan Zai Shui Wu by Nian Long Yu Iao gritted her teeth. She couldn't very well send the spiritual herbs to him now, so she had no choice but to grit her teeth and continue refining. She knew she was doomed to lose this round, and could only pray that the Burning Heaven ancestor would suddenly make a mistake, causing the pill refining to fail. As Long Yuiao began refining, the remaining group of alchemists, with even fewer spiritual herbs, could only grit their teeth and continue refining with bitter faces. The time to collect spiritual herbs was simply too short. Without killing and robbing, most alchemists couldn't even gather enough spiritual herbs for a single pill formula. Especially those unfortunate alchemists who had given all their spiritual herbs to geniuses of the same surname, leaving them only with a handful of obviously useless, low-quality spiritual herbs. What could they refine with that? With bitter faces, they could only throw the few spiritual herbs on the table into the alchemy furnace, ready to give up. Actually, any random herbs thrown into the furnace could be made into pills, but these haphazardly refined pills would have no medicinal effect and might even be poisonous. For them, completing the pills wasn't a problem, but passing the score was out of the question. Everyone else had already started refining pills, except for Long Zhuan, who sat there with his eyes closed, completely out of place and attracting the attention of all the judges. The judges all frowned slightly. His quantity of spiritual herbs is far less than Feng Jiayu and Qin Dan's. He's destined to lose this round. Hopefully he doesn't fall asleep. There's only 1 day for refining pills. If he exceeds that time, he'll get 0 points. Feng Xiancheng sneered. What? There's still 1 day for refining pills? You must be mistaken. They came out early. To be precise, everyone has 3.5 days for refining pills. It's still early. Let him sleep for a while. He's probably tired. Long Xiaoyao, remembering Long Zhuan's earlier message that he needed time, retorted sarcastically. HMPH. So what if he gets 3 more days? 3 days is enough for him to increase the quantity of spiritual herbs. I'd like to see how much trouble he can cause. Feng Xiancheng showed a disdainful look and looked at Long Xiaoyao, saying, "Since you're so confident in him, how about we make another bet? Let's bet on 5 top-grade natal goo worms, the same old rules. Whoever has the highest score wins." Feng Xiancheng felt confident of winning this round, so he immediately proposed the bet. People who lose at gambling often want to win back their losses, and the more they lose, the more they want to gamble. He wanted to win back the 5 top-grade goo worms he had lost before. However, realizing that Long Xiaoyao would never agree to such a sure-win bet, he immediately added, "You should understand that in the world of medicine, unexpected events can occur. The alchemy time can be 3 days, or even 1 day, both are acceptable. The final interpretation rests with me. I think most judges wouldn't be willing to wait 3 days. If you agree to this bet, then I'll reluctantly agree to extend the alchemy time to 3 days, Long Xiaoyao glared at him angrily. Which of us saw any confidence in this round? The Long clan was clearly doomed to lose this round. He really knew how to pick his chances. Proposing a bet in a sure-win situation. Did he really think he was stupid enough to accept such a bet? But remembering what Long Zhuan had whispered in his ear earlier, he hesitated for a moment. Although Long Zhuan's chances of winning were extremely low, the outcome of this alchemy competition was far too important for the Long clan, even concerning the survival of the entire clan. Even with less than a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning, he still wanted to try his best at all costs. What if a miracle occurred? Oh well, those 5 top-grade goo worms weren't his anyway. He won them. Even if he lost them, he could just return them. He wouldn't suffer any loss. With this in mind, Long Xiaoyao immediately decided to gamble. He turned to look at Feng Xiancheng and sneered, "You still want to gamble with me? You lost 5 of your natal goo worms to me before. Are you sure you still have 5? Don't try to get something for nothing." Seeing that Long Xiaoyao had taken the bait, Feng Xiancheng was secretly delighted and immediately said, "As the chief alchemist of a country, do you think I'm short of money? Refining more than 10 natal goo worms is a piece of cake. Don't even mention me. You definitely have more than 10 top-grade goo worms. We're equals. How could my collection be inferior to yours?" Long Xiaoyao teased, "Of course I know your wealth, but even if you're rich and powerful, if you lose 10 natal goo worms, you'll become a cripple, right? I heard you have a lot of enemies. When you become a cripple, you'd better be careful walking at night. That's none of your concern. Do you really think I can lose this round? I'm going to recoup my losses this time." Feng Xiancheng clenched his fists. Thinking of the 5 natal goo worms he had lost, he felt a pang of heartache. In the Heavenly Phoenix Empire, the Phoenix Emperor was ostensibly the strongest, but she was old, her lifespan nearly exhausted, her vital energy depleted, and her fighting strength reduced to a mere tenth. Therefore, he was actually the strongest in the Heavenly Phoenix Empire. However, he had lost 5 natal goo worms in a bet with Long Xiaoyao, drastically weakening his fighting power. Unfortunately, the 4 evils attacked at this time, and with his strength severely diminished, he was no match for their leader. This resulted in the Black Mountain Elder being left unchecked, injuring the Phoenix Empress, and the Phoenix Clan's experts were no longer able to withstand the 4 evils' onslaught, ultimately suffering a crushing defeat, losing countless goo kings, and allowing the 4 to escape laughing. Otherwise, in his prime, the 4 evils wouldn't have escaped so easily. Thinking of this, Feng Xiancheng was furious and filled with remorse, lamenting that gambling was harmful, ruining people and the country, and vowing never to gamble again after recovering his losses. At this moment, within Long Zhuan's spiritual world, he stared at the paper he had conjured with illusion magic, unsure of where to begin. He had very few materials at his disposal. Even if he were to create his own pill formula, the limited resources left him feeling helpless. Even if he did create a new formula, would the resulting elixir necessarily surpass the value of those 2? Long Zhuan lacked confidence. He had no idea what to expect. The extraordinary efficacy of a pill was undoubtedly related to its materials. If the materials were ordinary, it was impossible to refine a miraculous elixir. He possessed a multitude of pill formulas capable of attracting extraordinary phenomena, but which of those formulas didn't have main ingredients exceeding the 10th grade? The miraculous elixir capable of attracting lightning tribulation even used the fruit of the only divine tree in the world as its ingredient. With the spiritual herbs he had gathered, it was certain that he couldn't create any truly miraculous pill formulas. The problem lay here, because the Burning Heaven ancestor and Qindan possessed a greater quantity of spiritual herbs, the overall quality of the materials they chose for refining their pills would certainly far surpass his. Such a significant difference in material quality was difficult to compensate for with a single pill formula. Longzhuan frowned, deep in thought for a long time. Just as he was about to turn his hair white from worry, a brilliant idea suddenly struck him. The reason he was currently at a disadvantage was because the quality of his materials differed significantly from his opponents. What if he could compensate for this difference in material quality? What if he could even make his pill-making materials far superior to his competitors? Longzhuan's eyes lit up. He suddenly thought, who says you have to use spiritual herbs to refine pills? Could he refine pills without using spiritual herbs? Of course. What if he used pills instead? This idea was truly excellent, incredibly creative. The quality of pills would definitely surpass that of spiritual herbs. If pills could truly be used as materials for refining pills, then due to inherent factors, the quality of the refined pills would likely be extremely high, possibly even surpassing that of the Burning Heaven ancestor. His current idea was to first refine the spiritual herbs he had into various types of spiritual pills, and then use these spiritual pills as materials to refine another type of spiritual pill. He would call this pill refining technique at least the pill combination technique. The technique of using elixirs to refine pills was absolutely unprecedented in this world, and no alchemist had ever thought of it before. He had truly broken new ground in history. If this method could be realized and pills were successfully refined using this method outside, it would surely shock all the judges and astound all the onlookers. This method would then cause a sensation throughout the world and form a new school of alchemy. Pill formulas using elixirs as ingredients would spring up like mushrooms after rain, and all sorts of genius alchemists would research them. Such a momentous event made Longzhuan's breathing quicken. He secretly marveled at his own intelligence, how he could have come up with such a wonderful alchemy method. Longzhuan excitedly clapped his hands and immediately put it into action. Meanwhile, outside, in a mountain forest, PFFT, the old ghost of burial demon leaned against a boulder, spitting out a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with horror. Damn it! How can this ancestor Burning Heaven be so strong? Even with the four of us evil men joining forces, we are no match for him. Is this the fighting power of the 10th most wanted demon on the wanted list? The old ghost of burial demon's face was ashen. Just moments ago, the four of them had slashed through 100,000 Imperial guards, moving freely through the formidable Xianfeng city, stunning all the onlookers with their triumphant air. They had been so full of confidence and pride. But no one expected that these four villains, barely out of the city, would be so easily defeated by the Burning Heaven ancestor. In that battle, 2 of the 4 villains were killed and 2 were wounded. The Black Mountain Elder and the White-Faced Scholar died on the spot, leaving only him and the Jade-Faced Rakshasa to escape. However, both of them were now severely injured, and he himself had lost an arm to heavenly fire, with most of his goo worms burned to death. His fighting strength had now plummeted to rock bottom. Damn it! There's always someone stronger. Ancestor Burning Heaven, such a powerful figure, is only ranked 10th on the Goo Realm's wanted list. Who are the top 9, and who are the 10 supreme beings of the righteous path in my previous life? Compared to these true powerhouses, I'm just a frog in a well. I was too arrogant and ignorant before. The burial demon old ghost's face turned solemn. He looked back worriedly, and seeing that ancestor Burning Heaven wasn't chasing after him, he gritted his teeth, endured the excruciating pain, and ran forward again. Ancestor Burning Heaven clearly didn't believe the Enlightenment Tea Tree had been accidentally burned. If he couldn't find the Enlightenment Tea Tree, he wouldn't rest until he killed the 2 of them. Chapter 393 5 Elements Sacred Pill. June 12, 2024 Author, Xiangkangshen Shui Wu by Nian. After some time, the old ghost of burial demon, having confirmed that he had shaken off the ancestor of Burning Heaven, hid in a cave to recuperate, intending to emerge only after his injuries had healed. However, just as he was sitting cross-legged on the ground inside, recovering, he seemed to sense something and suddenly turned to look outside the cave. Who? Come out! The old ghost of burial demon tensed, his eyes fixed on the cave entrance. Hell, I didn't expect you to be so alert. Even injured like this, you still managed to spot me. Don't be nervous, old friend. The jade-faced Rakshasa slowly walked in from outside the cave, smiling at him. Seeing that it was this familiar face entering the cave, the old ghost of burial demon's vigilance didn't lessen. Instead, his expression became even more serious. We ran away separately. I didn't expect you to escape the ancestor of Burning Heaven's pursuit. But instead of properly recovering, why did you travel so far to find me? Could it be that you see me severely injured and think you can take advantage of me? The old ghost of burial demon sneered. How? You're really judging others by your own petty standards. As old friends, can't I just come to check on your injuries? Why do you think I'm so sinister? The jade-faced Rakshasa approached with a smile. Stop. You think I can guess? Aren't you planning to take advantage of my injuries to kill me and refine me into a human pill? You've never given up on replenishing the heaven-defying pill's power, so stop pretending. If I've misunderstood you, then leave now and don't come back for 3 days, lest I become suspicious of you. The demon-bearing old ghost stared intently at her. The jade-faced Rakshasa stopped, finally losing her smile. You're quite alert. It seems my sneak attack won't work. Since you've already guessed, I won't pretend anymore. You're more seriously injured than me now. I'm going to kill you and refine you into a human pill to replenish the heaven-defying pill's power. What do you think? The jade-faced Rakshasa said coldly, her killing intent undisguised. Ha ha ha. So you really intend to refine me into a human pill, but you think you've got me cornered just because I'm seriously injured? Naive. You want to refine me into a human pill, but I also want to refine you into a human pill. You've chosen the path to hell when there's one. The old demon of the burial demon looked at her with a cold gaze. Very well. Since we both have this idea, then today only one of us can live. It's either you or me. The jade-faced Rakshasa's eyes turned cold, and she finally charged forward. Shinfeng City. 3 days had passed, and everyone stared at the handsome young man with his eyes tightly closed, their expressions gradually growing impatient. All the other contestants had already finished refining their pills, leaving only him, who hadn't even started refining. They were waiting withering away. The scores for all the contestants in the third round, except for Long Zhuan, had been released. Due to material limitations, most people received extremely low scores, with only about 20 passing. Among them, Long Yuiao, Feng Shuang, and Wang Wu tied again, each receiving 85 points. As expected, Ancestor Burning Heaven and Qin Dan both received the highest scores, both achieving an outstanding 90 points. The reason they were in perfect scores was because the scoring in the third round had to allow for a range for fourth-grade pills. Otherwise, if a third-grade pill could get a perfect score, it would be difficult to score if someone actually refined a fourth-grade pill. Most of the participants had already left, with only a few alchemy geniuses watching impatiently, including Ancestor Burning Heaven, Qin Dan, Long Yuiao, Feng Shuang, Wang Wu. What is this kid doing? If he wants to admit defeat, he should just do it already. What's he wasting his time on? Feng Shuang finally lost her patience and shouted irritably. Long Yuiao looked at him and said coldly, keep your voice down. All the judges agree that the reason he hasn't opened his eyes for 3 days is because he's entered a state of enlightenment. This state is rare. Once he wakes up, he might comprehend something extraordinary. What he comprehends could be the key to victory or defeat. Don't you dare disturb him. HMPH. Feng Shuang showed a disdainful expression and sneered. What could he possibly comprehend? Even if what he comprehends is heaven-defying, the pills he refines will only be third-grade pills, capped at 90 points. With the trash materials on his table, it's impossible for him to refine a 90-point pill. He's destined to lose, Feng Shuang sneered. Although his score wasn't the highest in the entire arena, the Burning Heaven ancestor's surname was Feng. As long as his score was the highest, that was enough. Compared to the younger generation's commotion, the judges were much quieter. Long Xiaoyao watched nervously, glancing at the sky from time to time, his brows furrowing deeper and deeper. 3 full days had already passed, and Long Zhuan had less than half a day left to refine pills. If this boy doesn't open his eyes soon, and there's not enough time for alchemy, he'll really get a 0. He's practically dying of anxiety. He wants to wake Long Zhuan, but he's afraid of interrupting his enlightenment. His expression is conflicted. Feng Xianchang glanced at the sky and laughed. I've given you the time. The competition is almost over. Even if he wakes up now, I don't believe he can refine anything extraordinary in such a short time. You should give me back those 5 top-grade goo worms first, quickly. What's the rush? Long Xiaoyao glanced at him out of the corner of his eye and said, a miracle can happen until the very last moment. Perhaps my clan's genius has truly comprehended something extraordinary this time. You should be prepared to give me 5 more of your natal goo worms. I hope you won't become a cripple after losing 10 natal goo worms, otherwise I'll feel guilty. Long Xiaoyao finally showed a relaxed expression. He just saw Long Zhuan's eyebrows twitch. If nothing unexpected happens, he'll wake up soon. He wasn't kept waiting long. Shortly after he finished speaking, Long Zhuan finally opened his eyes, a glint of light flashing within them. I apologize for keeping you all waiting. I accidentally took a nap. There's still time, so I'll begin refining the pills. Long Zhuan glanced at the sky, seeing that only a few hours remained, and felt a slight anxiety. Time was indeed tight, as he needed to refine far more than just one spirit pill. At this moment, he couldn't hold back any longer. He created 5 clones from his body and took out 5 low-quality alchemy furnaces from his storage ring, tossing them to his 5 clones. In this situation, he could only use clones to speed up the alchemy process. He had successfully researched the pill combination technique and also successfully developed a new pill formula that required it. He named the 5-element sacred pill. The 5-element sacred pill formula required 5 materials: metal sacred pill, wood sacred pill, water sacred pill, fire sacred pill, and earth sacred pill. A goo cultivator at the peak of the spirit sea realm, cultivating metal attribute spiritual power, has a 10% chance of breaking through to the goo king realm after consuming the metal element sacred pill. A goo cultivator cultivating wood attribute spiritual power has a 10% chance of breaking through to the goo king realm after consuming the wood element sacred pill, and so on. If 5 pills of each of these 5 types are thrown into a single alchemy furnace and further refined, their medicinal power can be further enhanced, transforming into the even more potent 5-element sacred pill, which can be consumed by goo cultivators possessing any of the 5 elements. The 5-element sacred pill contains 5 types of spiritual power, which can form a 5-element cycle, creating a greater impact on bottlenecks. If a single attribute sacred pill only increases the breakthrough rate by 10%, then when the 5 sacred pills are combined, forming a 5-element cycle, the resulting medicinal power is far more than just the sum of 5. At that point, the breakthrough success rate, achieved through the power of the 5-element cycle, will be a staggering 90%. Strictly speaking, the 5-element sacred pill has already surpassed a category of a 3rd-grade spiritual pill. The 5-element sacred pill is a product of fusing 25 grade 3 spiritual pills together, and its medicinal and spiritual power is also the result of combining the power of these 25 pills. Under these circumstances, the spiritual power concentration of this pill is comparable to that of a grade 4 pill. Although the 5-element sacred pill is a grade 3 pill, it surpasses that of a grade 4 pill. Long Zhuan simply couldn't believe that bringing out a pill that was essentially a grade 4 pill wouldn't earn him the highest score. Chapter 394 The Shocked Crowd. June 12, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu by Nian. Amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd, the 5 clones grabbed the spiritual herbs from the table and placed them into their respective alchemy furnaces, beginning the refining process. Each clone was clearly refining a different type of pill. Just like when refining the large pot of pills before, Long Zhuan skipped the step of refining the spiritual herbs one by one. To save time, he threw all the ingredients on the recipe into the alchemy furnace at once. Relying on the large number of clones, he refined all the spiritual herbs simultaneously after they entered the furnace. Seeing Long Zhuan refine pills in this way, the judges couldn't help but twitch their lips. They had never seen alchemy done like this before. It was simply absurd. Originally, there wasn't enough time left to refine a batch of pills, but with such a refining speed, how could it not be fast? If the furnace didn't explode, they might actually be able to save time. This method of alchemy aroused the curiosity of many, who couldn't help but look over, trying to learn from him. At this moment, Long Xiaoyao finally felt relieved. Regardless of the quality of the pills, at least they could be successfully made within the allotted time. However, he quickly frowned again. Although Long Zhuan was refining 5 batches of pills simultaneously, these 5 batches were clearly different types of pills. The rules for the 3rd round of the competition weren't about to refine the most pills, but rather about judging scores based on the value of the pills refined. What on earth was Long Zhuan doing? Long Xiaoyao was completely baffled, and his brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Feng Xianchang glanced at him, sneering disdainfully. I thought he just had an epiphany and realized something. Is this all he's figured out? He just figured out 5 pill formulas. The materials are just different attributes. In reality, he's only figured out one formula. This formula seems to be related to breaking through realms. A third-grade breakthrough pill isn't even as valuable as a third-grade ice-fire dual-element pill. Not only will he not get the highest score by refining a third-grade breakthrough pill, but his score will also be far behind everyone else's. Does he think refining more batches of pills will increase his score? It seems he doesn't understand the rules of the game. He's definitely going to lose this round. Long Xiaoyao remained silent, unsure how to retort. What the hell is he doing? What's the point of refining 5 batches of pills at the same time? What's the point of showing off? Does he think showing off will increase his score? Long Xiaoyao clenched her fists, her face ashen, shouting in exasperation. The burning heaven ancestor shook his head and sighed. What a pity, all that anticipation for nothing. Many people showed disappointment at this moment, and many onlookers could already imagine the outcome. After shaking their heads, they began to leave. However, just as a large number of onlookers reached the door, a sudden change occurred. Long Zhuan's alchemy speed was simply too fast. He had already begun forming pills. Almost simultaneously, his 5 clones tapped the alchemy furnaces, and the lids flew high. 5 round pills flew out from each furnace, each a different color, gold, green, blue, red, and brown, corresponding to the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Although no one had ever seen these pills before, and they seemed to be based on a self-created formula, that was all. In the third round, self-created formulas did not earn extra points. Many people showed mocking expressions at this point. However, just when they thought the alchemy was over, and most of the judges had already given their scores, what happened next made all the judges' eyes widen in disbelief. The 25 pills that had soared high into the air didn't fall. Instead, they flew directly towards the center and finally landed together in the silver alchemy furnace. At this moment, Long Zhuan, who had been sitting in the center with his eyes closed in meditation, finally opened them. A flash of fire appeared in his eyes, and a deep red flame suddenly rose beneath the furnace. He was actually preparing to refine pills. At this moment, all the judges were shocked and stood up, their eyes wide with extreme horror. They finally understood what this young man was planning. He hadn't been refining pills, but rather materials. He intended to use this method to improve the quality of the materials, thereby surpassing the burning heaven ancestor and Qin Dan. Using pills as materials to refine pills, this was what he was planning to do. Hiss, a collective gasp filled the entire arena. Even the onlookers who were about to leave stopped in their tracks, turned back, and revealed deep shock. Everyone was now in a state of disbelief. How is this possible? He's actually using medicinal pills as ingredients to refine pills. Such pill refining is unheard of, unprecedented in history. Refining medicinal pills into pills, what a creative idea. He's creating nested dolls. Can he continue nesting them later? What a genius idea. Tisk. If medicinal pills are used as ingredients, the quality of the ingredients will definitely be higher than that of spiritual herbs. The pills refined using this method will definitely be excellent. I'm really curious to see what he'll finally refine. The combined spiritual power of 25 kinds of spiritual pills, not to mention the medicinal power. The concentration of spiritual power alone is comparable to a 4th-grade spiritual pill. This kid is truly defying the heavens. After a brief moment of stunned silence, the judges quickly descended into chaos, loudly discussing among themselves. Each of them was flushed with excitement, their appearance suddenly out of control. Feng Xianchang suddenly clenched his fists, his face slowly darkening. A sense of foreboding welled up in his heart, and the scene made him somewhat panicked. Ha. I knew he couldn't possibly refine such a low-grade pill. Turns out he had this backup plan, using pills to refine pills. What a divine idea. A genius beyond compare. Long Xiaoyao slammed his hand on the table, bursting into laughter. He looked at Feng Xianchang with smug satisfaction and said, "Sorry, he seems to have refined a 4th-grade pill. It looks like you're going to lose this round again. Get your 5 top-grade goo worms ready. I'll reluctantly accept them. Ha. I hope you don't become a cripple after losing 10 of your natal goo worms." Feng Xianchang clenched his fists, looking as if he'd lost his soul. His eyes were bloodshot, his expression ferocious as he stared intently at the silver alchemy furnace, silently praying. He had no mind to reply. Ancestor Burning Heaven narrowed his eyes, staring intently at Long Zhuan, and said solemnly, "I never imagined that this method could be used to refine pills. It truly broadens my horizons. Once this pill is completed, it is not a 4th-grade spiritual pill, but it surpasses a 4th-grade spiritual pill. The score of this pill will probably exceed 90 points. Where did this kid come from? He has repeatedly caused me setbacks. Ancestor Burning Heaven frowned deeply. Qindan glanced at him, then turned his gaze to Long Zhuan, a slight smile playing on his lips. He chuckled. Interesting, truly interesting. This alchemy method is incredibly creative, a pioneering achievement. After this alchemy competition, this method will surely cause a sensation throughout the alchemy world, attracting the attention of all alchemists. A new school of alchemy is about to be born. This event will be forever etched in history. After this remark, Qindan added solemnly, this Western region's alchemy competition is truly a place where hidden talents abound, with all sorts of monstrous geniuses emerging one after another. I thought that as a former Western region's alchemy league champion, I would have a sure win in this competition, but I didn't expect such a plethora of geniuses. First, there was the Burning Heaven ancestor, and then there was him, preventing me from gaining an advantage in the first 3 rounds. How? I didn't lose this round unjustly. He then used soul transmission to speak to a mysterious soul within him. Little medicine boy, this must be your old friend. Coming from a barren land, yet so incredibly talented, his brain is almost as sharp as mine. Looks like I've met my match. I'll have to take the next match seriously. As he finished speaking, his gaze sharpened, a hint of seriousness appearing in his eyes. At that moment, a voice in his mind responded, then you really need to be serious. My old friend here is a chosen one. Everything he does goes smoothly. Furthermore, his ideas are wildly imaginative. His imagination is no less than mine. He created a little strong goo when he was a minor. Now his mind is probably even more extraordinary. I advise you to focus your attention on him. Trust me, he's even more troublesome than that Burning Heaven ancestor. Chapter 395 Buying Points. June 12, 2024. Author, Xiang Kangshan, handsome for 500 years. Upon hearing this, Qindan's lips curled up, and he chuckled. Oh? I didn't expect you to have such a high opinion of him. But saying he's more troublesome than Ancestor Fengyuan is a bit of an exaggeration, isn't it? My score has already dropped too much. I'm afraid I'll have to refine 4th grade pills from now on. Only Ancestor Fengyuan is a 4th grade alchemist here. Even if this 3rd grade alchemist is a monstrous talent, he can't pose any threat to me. HMPH. Let me tell you a principle. The chosen one of destiny doesn't follow reason. Just because you think it's impossible doesn't mean the chosen one of destiny can't do it. Isn't his current method of refining pills equivalent to refining 4th grade pills? Upon hearing this, Qindan's expression became completely serious. Not long after, while everyone was still discussing, Long Zhuan had already completed his pill refinement. He slammed his hand on the alchemy furnace, and the lid and the spirit pill inside flew high into the air. No one paid attention to the lid, but the flying spirit pill attracted everyone's attention. The elixir was 5 colors: gold, green, blue, red, and brown. Under the sunlight, it reflected a myriad of colors, and the air was filled with its fragrant aroma, causing everyone to gasp. At that moment, the entire arena fell silent, all eyes fixed on the 5-colored elixir, unable to look away. Success? It really succeeded. This method of alchemy actually works. It's unbelievable. Long Yuiao clenched her fists, her eyes excitedly fixed on the 5-colored elixir. Only now did her heart finally relax, and she let out a long sigh. She knew that this round was practically won, and her Long clan would once again take the lead. How is this possible? Using elixir as a material for alchemy has never been done in ancient times. How could it possibly succeed? Feng Shuang's face was contorted with rage, her fists clenching tighter and tighter, as she spoke with great resentment. Burning Heaven Ancestor and Qindan finally looked away from the pill, sighing inwardly. They had only used their soul power to scan it, yet they knew the battle was lost. The pill's score would definitely exceed 90 points. They, 2 4th grade alchemists, had once again become mere spectators. At this moment, the 5-colored pill finally fell from the sky, caught in Long Zhuan's palm. His hand opened, and the 5-colored pill reappeared in everyone's sight. Long Zhuan let out a long sigh of relief. The timing was perfect. He had finally succeeded in refining the pill within the allotted time. He glanced around, frowned, and finally said, "This is a unique pill formula I created myself, called the 5-element sacred pill. Its effects are probably already guessed by everyone. It's for breaking through realms, A peak spirit Sigu cultivator who cultivates one of the 5 elemental attributes can increase their success rate of breaking through to Gu King by 90% after consuming the 5 elements sacred pill. This is a very conservative estimate. After all, nothing is absolute. Upon hearing this, a collective gasp rippled through the entire audience. Almost all breakthrough pills have a 10% success rate. Those exceeding 10% are extremely rare, and a 90% success rate is unheard of, leaving everyone astonished. Long Xiaoyao could no longer contain himself. He beckoned. And the 5 elements sacred pill in Long Zhuan's hand flew high into the air, hurtling towards the judge's table at incredible speed. However, before the 5 elements sacred pill could land in Long Xiaoyao's hand, Qin Shuang intercepted it from the side. Qin Shuang's hand trembled as he carefully opened his palm, his gaze fixed intently on the pill. The judges around him craned their necks, peering over. After examining the pill's potency up close, Qin Shuang's face flushed with excitement, his breathing rapid. He exclaimed incoherently, "A 4th-grade pill. This is a 4th-grade pill. I never imagined that the method of refining pills with pills could actually succeed. This method will likely cause a major earthquake in the entire alchemy world." The fat on Qin Shuang's face trembled uncontrollably. Just as he was lost in thought, the pill in his hand was snatched away by Wang Hu. Looking at the pill up close, Wang Hu's tall frame trembled. "A miracle, truly a miracle. Young friend, you're going to be famous. The miracle you've created is enough to be remembered for eternity, and we are all witnesses to this miracle. Could you please give me this pill? I want to keep the first pill refined using this method as a memento. I'm willing to give you 95 points. Long Zhuan was stunned. Buying points in front of everyone was probably inappropriate. Wasn't this already beneath his notice? However, before he could speak, chaos erupted on the judges' panel. A 4th-grade alchemist immediately interrupted. "Young friend. I'm willing to offer 96 points. Would you be willing to give me this pill? Give it to me." "I'm willing to offer 97 points, someone else quickly shouted from behind. Chaos erupted on the judges' panel as they scrambled for the 5 elements sacred pill, each vying to possess it. While the pill held immense significance and commemorative value, many were likely more interested in studying it to discover the secrets of alchemy. Such a miraculous alchemy technique undoubtedly captivated everyone. The judges' panel erupted into heated argument, with the distinguished 4th-grade alchemists arguing heatedly, quickly driving the price to 100 points, with the price still rising. Adding points wasn't enough, they began adding external items. Everyone was stunned, their jaws nearly dropping. It was important to understand that the last 10 points were reserved for 4th-grade pills. 95 points were for top-tier 4th-grade pills, a 96-point 4th-grade pill could at least attract extraordinary phenomena, and a 98-point 4th-grade pill could at least attract a heavenly tribulation. The 5 elements sacred pill refined by Long Zhuan was comparable to a 4th-grade pill in terms of energy. But strictly speaking, it was not a 4th-grade pill at all, and its medicinal power was not what a 4th-grade pill should have. Even the Gu King would find it completely useless. Therefore, although this pill could exceed 90 points, giving it 95 points would be severely excessive, and giving it 100 points would be outrageous. To put it bluntly, this would be considered serious cheating by selling points. Long Zhuan clicked his tongue in amazement. He hadn't expected this 5 elements sacred pill to have such power, enough to drive the more than 100 judges on the judging panel into a frenzy. After a lengthy debate among the judges, Long Xiaoyao finally stood up, his face flushed, and announced, "After unanimous deliberation by all of us judges, this pill deserves a score of 92. However, according to the rules, 2/3 of the pills refined by the contestant must be handed over to the competition organizers. If 2 pills are refined, they will be split equally. If only one is refined, then that pill belongs to the competition organizers. This pill is no longer up for grabs, it belongs to all 10 kingdoms jointly." Meeting adjourned. Chapter 396 Long Xiaoyao visits again. June 13, 2024. Author, Xiang Kangshan, handsome for another 500 years. Upon hearing this, Feng Xianchang slumped into his chair, his face ashen. A score of 92 was the highest in the entire match. Long Xiaoyao had undoubtedly won again, losing 5 of Feng Xianchang's natal goo worms. Those were 5 natal goo worms. Adding to the 5 he had already lost, that made a total of 10. Losing 10 natal goo worms would drastically reduce his combat power. He'd be lucky to regain even a fraction of his former strength. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he'd become useless. His face turned deathly pale, despair filling his eyes. The feeling of falling from grace was clearly unbearable. He still couldn't understand how he could lose such a seemingly surefire bet. He had completely lost his mind, to the point that Long Xiaoyao was the one announcing the results. At this moment, both Ancestor Fen Bian and Qin Dan frowned. Long Zhuan had scored 92 points in this round, 2 more than them. Including the previous round, Long Zhuan's total score was now 3 points ahead of theirs. A 3-point difference was significant. In a competition between geniuses, even a 1-point lead was considerable, let alone 3. Both men showed grim expressions, finally taking the competition seriously. They didn't intend to hold back in the remaining matches. Being 3 points behind meant that catching up without refining 4th-grade pills was clearly impossible. They had made their decision at this moment. Long Zhuan, on the other hand, showed disappointment. 92 points was far too few. Seeing the judge's frenzy, he thought he could get a perfect score. But the final score was so low, leaving him disappointed. He was still not satisfied. Since Long Xiaoyao had already said it was over, Long Zhuan naturally had no reason to stay any longer. He finally turned and left, slowly walking towards the inn. The onlookers parted to make way, their eyes filled with awe, as if witnessing a peerless alchemy prodigy rising from the heavens. Back at the inn, Long Zhuan closed the door, but before he could even rest, Long Xiaoyao, his face beaming with excitement, jumped in through the window. Well done. Your victory this time was far beyond my expectations. I don't expect you to win the next round. Just a draw with your opponent, or even just 2 points behind, will make you the champion of this alchemy competition. This alchemy competition will be a huge blow to the Long clan. Thanks to you, I won 5 more of Feng Xiancheng's natal goo worms this time. Having lost 10 of his natal goo worms, he's now completely useless. You didn't see how dark his face was just now. Ha 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 ha. Long Xiaoyao laughed loudly, his face flushed. Seeing Long Xiaoyao appear, Long Zhuan felt a headache coming on. He couldn't understand why such a powerful figure wouldn't use the door, but instead preferred to jump through the window. It had truly startled him. Senior, I wonder if you've come today to discuss the rules for the next round of the competition with me. Facing this important figure, Long Zhuan dared not be negligent and spoke with great respect. Long Xiaoyao was in a good mood today. He waved his hand and smiled. No need for formalities. Your future achievements will surely surpass mine. I might even need to rely on you in the future. Let's address each other as equals. I came here today to talk to you about the competition rules, so you can be mentally prepared. Long Xiaoyao's smile faded, and he finally became serious, saying solemnly, there was an unexpected incident in this round of the competition. The 4 evils of the land of sin attacked and damaged the barrier of the medicine realm, rendering the array that could steal human abilities ineffective. Under such circumstances, the Goo Kings, including the Burning Heaven ancestor, went on a killing spree, killing half of the participants. Most of the surviving participants were eliminated because they came out too early and didn't have enough spiritual herbs to collect. Therefore, very few participants passed this round. Even with our judges forcibly raising the scores, we could only barely keep 30 people. The remaining 70 had to be eliminated. The rules for this 4th round are that these 30 participants enter a palace, drink enlightenment tea together, and use the power of the enlightenment tea to create a pill formula within 10 days. The more extraordinary the pill formula you create, the higher your score will be. The 10 with the highest scores will advance to the finals. Long Xiaoyao suddenly looked at him and smiled. You were in a state of enlightenment before, and the pill refining method you created is quite good, enough to set off a craze for pill refining in the pill refining world. This shows that you are extremely good at creating your own methods. The next round is your forte, and the game rules are very favorable to you. You'd better get a score that surpasses that of the Burning Heaven ancestor in this round, and further widen the gap between you and him in terms of scores. Under such circumstances, even if he refines a 4th-grade pill in the finals, his total score may not be able to surpass yours. Long Xiaoyao suddenly showed a solemn expression and said gravely, if nothing unexpected happens, with such a large gap in scores, the Burning Heaven ancestor will definitely refine a 4th-grade pill in the finals. You need to be mentally prepared. Long Zhuan nodded. These words really made him feel the pressure and he dared not be careless. He asked again, Senior, could you tell me what level of pill formula the Burning Heaven ancestor could create after drinking the enlightenment tea? So that I can have a better idea. Long Xiaoyao shook his head and sighed. Who can say for sure? I can only tell you that enlightenment tea can temporarily enhance a person's comprehension and mental acuity, bringing them into a state of enlightenment, but what they can comprehend varies from person to person. Some people, after drinking enlightenment tea, can only create very poor grade 1 pill formulas. Those with high comprehension and deep knowledge can create anything, no matter how extraordinary, but most alchemy geniuses, after drinking enlightenment tea, can't even create grade 3 pill formulas, let alone grade 4 ones. Otherwise, the Heavenly Phoenix Empire, which controls the enlightenment tea tree, would already have grade 4 pill formulas flooding the market. Your goal is to create a grade 3 pill formula. Once you create a grade 3 formula, entering the finals is guaranteed. Hearing this, Long Zhuan frowned deeply. Creating a grade 3 pill formula was incredibly easy for him. He could do it even without drinking enlightenment tea. But at this moment, he felt anything but at ease. Long Xiaoyao just claimed that the effects of enlightenment tea vary from person to person. Those with high comprehension and profound knowledge can create anything, no matter how extraordinary, after drinking it. His understanding is that people with high comprehension and great wisdom, after reading many books, can create anything, no matter how extraordinary, after drinking enlightenment tea, and there's no upper limit to its extraordinary nature. The Burning Heaven Ancestor and Qin Dan seem to be such people. Qin Dan's progress is very similar to Duan Xianwu's. If nothing unexpected happens, he is Duan Xianwu. He doesn't know why Duan Xianwu didn't die and is here, and he doesn't care to know. Duan Xianwu's imagination is in no way inferior to his. He learned from the abbot that Duan Xianwu created too many extraordinary inheritances and has extremely profound knowledge. Terrifying works like the Endless Battle Cannon, Demon Devouring Gu Formula, Great Buddha Sword Technique, Great Power Gu, and Heart Questioning Finger, all these extraordinary things were created by him. He can create so many terrifying things even without drinking enlightenment tea. What would he be like after drinking it? What he's about to create will be absolutely terrifying, far beyond what a mere third-grade pill formula can handle. Long Zhuan felt a chill run down his spine just thinking about it. That Burning Heaven Ancestor was even more terrifying. He possessed the complete evil phoenix true eye and was said to have secretly learned almost everything in the world's traditions. He was a terrifying figure who had survived being besieged dozens of times by countless forces. In terms of accumulated knowledge, who could match him? Even Duan Dan, who had no knowledge, couldn't match even a fraction of his. What terrifying things would someone with such profound knowledge create after drinking the enlightenment tea? Long Zhuan dared not imagine. Without a doubt, a third-grade pill formula was far from enough to stop him. With two such monstrous talents causing trouble, Long Xiaoyao actually told him he had a significant advantage in this round. An advantage my foot. If this round went wrong, he might fall 10 points behind those two prodigies. He had absolutely no advantage in this round. Chapter 397 Princess Yuiao is no longer appealing. 2024-06-13 Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu by Nian Sr. It's not that I'm trying to boost the morale of others and diminish our own, but those Ancestor Burning Heaven and Qin Dan, forgive my bluntness, they will definitely be able to create their own fourth-grade pill formula. Long Zhuan thought for a moment, and finally said solemnly. Long Xiaoyao nodded, as if he had expected it, and sighed. We can't rule out that possibility entirely. After all, they are all fourth-grade alchemists, and their alchemy talent is monstrous. Even without drinking the enlightenment tea, they could create fourth-grade pill formulas, let alone after drinking it, but I believe you also have the ability to create your own fourth-grade pill formulas. If you create a fourth-grade formula using the method of refining pills with pills, even if you can't beat Ancestor Fenchen, the score difference won't be too great. Moreover, everyone is selfish. If Ancestor Fenchen truly creates a heaven-defying pill formula, he probably wouldn't want all the judges to see it. The most likely scenario is that Ancestor Fenchen uses the enlightenment tea to create two pill formulas, a heaven-defying fourth-grade formula and a fourth-grade formula that is still above average. He will choose to keep the heaven-defying fourth-grade formula and submit the one that is still above average. Therefore, I have great confidence in you in this round, Long Xiaoyao said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Long Zhuan seemed to ponder. He deduced from Long Xiaoyao's words that if a person was exceptionally talented, they could create two different pill formulas after drinking the enlightenment tea. With his own cheat-like abilities, creating anything after drinking the enlightenment tea would be like adding wings to a tiger. Creating two pill formulas during the competition didn't seem difficult. Therefore, He couldn't bear to submit even his most extraordinary pill formula. Having it seen by over 100 judges, and all the results of the pill refining competition having to be submitted to the organizers, meant many more people would learn his unique formula. He also planned to create 2 pill formulas and submit the less powerful one, provided his score wouldn't fall too far behind his opponents. Otherwise, he would have no choice but to reluctantly submit the extraordinary formula. Meanwhile, in a cave in the distant mountains, the jade-faced Rakshasa knelt on the ground, panting heavily. She was covered in blood, her clothes tattered, revealing deep, gruesome wounds. Clearly, she had suffered severe injuries. But she showed no sign of pain. Instead, she was extremely agitated, her gaze fixed intently on the equally wounded corpse not far away. Ha ha ha. Old demon of the burial realm, we've fought for years, and you've finally fallen to my hand. From now on, the land of sin will be free of the 4 evils. Only I, jade-faced Rakshasa, will remain. After refining you into a human pill, I will replenish the power of the heaven-defying pill, achieving divine status. At that time, I will be the strongest in the land of sin. Thank you for granting my wish. You can rest in peace now. Jade-faced Rakshasa laughed maniacally, finally staggering to the corpse. She placed a huge alchemy furnace beside it, stripped the corpse naked, and threw it directly into the furnace. She showed disgust. HMPH. That old codger is truly ugly and disgusting. Eating pills refined by him is nauseating. If it weren't for replenishing the medicinal power of the heaven-defying pill, I really wouldn't want to suffer this ordeal. The jade-faced Rakshasa suppressed her nausea, threw precious spiritual herbs one by one into the alchemy furnace, and closed the lid. As a flame lit up below the furnace, the cave fell silent again. Meanwhile, in a courtyard. After leaving the inn where Long Zhuan was staying, Long Xiaoyao returned to his residence and took out the mirror they could see. Not long after, the anxious figure of the Dragon Emperor appeared in the mirror. How is the situation? Does our clan have the upper hands in this round? The Dragon Emperor had clearly not slept for a long time, his eyes were dark-rimmed, and his tired figure asked impatiently as soon as it appeared. Long Xiaoyao smiled and nodded, excitedly saying, "Heaven blesses our clan. A peerless alchemy genius has emerged in our clan. I think the Dragon Emperor doesn't have the patience to listen to the details of the competition, so I'll keep it brief and just tell you the result. That Long Zhuan created a unique alchemy method, using it to score 92 points in this round, 2 points higher than the Burning Heaven ancestors' 90 points. Including the total score, he will lead by 3 points. A 3-point difference is already quite significant. The 4th round, with his self-created alchemy formula, is Long Zhuan's area of expertise. Even if he can't win, at least he can ensure that the score gap won't widen. Our clan has a very high chance of winning. It seems the Imperial Advisor's prophecy is true. Our clan might really achieve victory under Long Zhuan's leadership and take half of the Fen clan's fortune." Long Xiaoyao's eyes flashed, revealing a gleam of ambition. Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was overjoyed, clapping his hands heavily and pacing excitedly around the room. "Excellent. Absolutely excellent. If he can truly win the bet for our clan, then he has rendered a great service, and I will reward him handsomely. Furthermore, such unparalleled merit is worthy of being bestowed with the highest honor of the Long clan. I want a dragon embroidered on his body." Upon hearing this, Long Xiaoyao's expression immediately turned strange. He wanted to say something, but dared not. As far as he knew, the boy's body was already covered in dragons, leaving no room for more. His contributions to the Long clan were indeed numerous, each touching upon the highest honor of the Long clan. This was the first time he had encountered a clansman whose entire body was covered in dragon tattoos, with so many hidden dragons that there was no room left. Such a situation was unprecedented in the entire history of the Long clan. He should be considered the first man in the Long clan's genealogy whose entire body was covered in dragon tattoos. The Dragon Emperor seemed to suddenly realize something, immediately stopping and turning to look at him, saying, "Such a heaven-defying alchemy prodigy is the hope of our clan. You must send people to protect him well. He must not be harmed in any way. This is, after all, Feng clan territory. With such a large gap in scores, they might resort to desperate measures. We must be on guard. If anything really happens to him, you'll have to answer to me with your head. Understand?" The Dragon Emperor's eyes sharpened, his tone commanding. His expression was extremely serious, not joking. Upon hearing this, Long Xiaoyao immediately revealed a confident expression and laughed. "Your Majesty, rest assured. All the Gu Kings I can control in Xianfeng City, as well as the Long Clan Gu Kings who have come to watch the competition, are currently deployed around the inn to secretly protect him. It's no exaggeration to say that, apart from me, all the Long Clan Gu Kings here are protecting him. Even the Gu Kings who were secretly protecting Princess Yuiao have all been dispatched by me. Moreover, that kid is very cunning and cautious. He seems to be staying at the inn, but in reality, he spends most of his time using the straw Gu to move to other places and sleep elsewhere. He is safe. Even if my clan's Gu King fails to stop the Feng Clan Gu King's assassination attempt, the Feng Clan Gu King will miss his target and there's absolutely no way he could kill him. With such double preparations, there's no chance of anything going wrong. If anything happens, I, Long Xiaoyao, will offer my head in resignation. Long Xiaoyao made this pledge without hesitation, speaking with extreme confidence. Upon hearing this, the Dragon Emperor's lips twitched involuntarily. How dare they send the Gu King, who was secretly protecting Princess Yuiao, over there? Did they value Princess Yuiao anymore? She was his most beloved daughter. Well, for the sake of the greater good, he would have to make do with her for now. The Feng clan would never lay a hand on the weakest. She should be safe in Xianfeng City. Achoo! At this moment, Long Yuiao, who was still asleep, couldn't help but sneeze, rubbing her little nose. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 398: A Brainstorming Idea About Pale Recipes. June 14, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshan Zhe Shui Wu by Nian. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. This was the fourth round of the alchemy competition, the semi-finals, with only one match left before the final. Tens of thousands of alchemists participated, but only 30 made it to the semi-finals, demonstrating the brutality of the previous rounds. Creating one's own alchemy formula requires a quiet place, sheltered from the wind and rain, where one's train of thought cannot be interrupted by external factors. Therefore, this round of the competition would be held in a huge palace. Due to limited space, only the most prestigious and powerful figures from various regions could attend. Many ordinary Gu cultivators obviously couldn't attend and would have to wait for the final. That day, Long Zhuan got up early, washed, and left the inn. Amidst the awe-inspiring gazes of the crowd, he entered the depths of the palace, finally arriving at a large hall under the guidance of Long Xiaoyao. Although Long Zhuan had gotten up unusually early, he was still the last to arrive. The other 29 contestants were already present and seated in the center of the hall. There were 30 tables and 30 seats in the center of the hall. The 30 seats were arranged in 6 rows and 5 columns, with the contestants' names labeled on the tables. All contestants were seated according to their total scores. Long Zhuan currently had 292 points, ranking first overall, and sat in the upper left corner, with Duan Xianwu and old ancestor Fenshen to his right. Long Zhuan glanced at his neighbor to the right, then quietly sat down, closed his eyes, and waited for the fourth round of the competition to begin. At the judges' seats, the judges whispered among themselves. Long Xiaoyao, sitting in the front row, glanced at Feng Xiancheng beside him and smiled. Brother Xiancheng, how about we make another bet? We've already bet on the previous rounds, it wouldn't be good if we didn't bet on this one. Feng Xiancheng gave him a dark look, turned his head away, and remained silent. This time, he absolutely refused to bet. He would be a fool to gamble again. That Long Zhuan was very strange. He had absolutely no confidence that a 4th-grade alchemist could easily defeat him. Ignoring Long Xiaoyao's provocation, he stood up and said in a deep voice, "Now that all the contestants have arrived, let the 4th round of the competition officially begin. Serve tea." As soon as he finished speaking, 5 beautiful women in palace robes came with tea, each going to the front of the 5 rows and pouring tea for each contestant in turn. Smelling the fragrant aroma of the tea, all the contestants felt refreshed, some even shivering and showing expressions of pure bliss. The Enlightenment tea tree was a tea tree surpassing the 12th grade, unique in the world. It was no exaggeration to say it was tea for immortals. The aroma alone was enough to make one's mouth water. How exquisite would the taste be? Everyone's throats moved, revealing their eagerness. Long Zhuan also looked curiously at the steaming tea before him, showing great interest. This is the enlightenment tea that can lead to enlightenment? It's truly extraordinary. I wonder what it tastes like, thinking of the enlightenment tea tree branch he already possessed on his wooden island, successfully cultivated by the medicinal goo, allowing him to drink as much enlightenment tea as he pleased in the future. He smiled slightly and wasn't in a hurry to drink this cup. After the 3 beautiful palace maids poured a cup of tea for each contestant, Feng Xiancheng looked around, his gaze lingering on Long Zhuan's face for a moment before he finally said, I won't waste any more pleasantries. All contestants, begin drinking tea and seeking enlightenment. Feng Xiancheng seemed to be in a bad mood, only saying this before sitting back down without another word. As soon as Feng Xiancheng finished speaking, all the contestants raised their teacups and drank them down in unison. No one savored it, they all gulped it down like cattle, some not even bothering to taste what the enlightenment tea was like. The contestants then put down their teacups and closed their eyes to feel the power of the enlightenment tea. The judges watched silently, not daring to disturb them. Each judge was eagerly anticipating what each contestant would discover next. The eyes of most judges were particularly focused on Long Zhuan, the burning heaven ancestor, and Qin Dan. Long Xiao's gaze towards Long Zhuan was filled with tension, his fist clenching unconsciously beneath his sleeve. Meanwhile, Long Zhuan downed the enlightenment tea in one gulp. Without even savoring its flavor, he closed his eyes to refine its power. Like most people, he feared that slowly sipping the tea would cause its effects to become intermittent, so he simply gulped it down. He figured he could savor the enlightenment tea once the trees on the wooden island had regrowed. After closing his eyes, he immediately ran into the sold bookstore to cheat. With the sold bookstore, his cheat code, and the enlightenment tea combined, enlightenment was far faster than drinking the tea alone. Compared to the other contestants, he enjoyed unparalleled advantages. Just as Long Xiao had said, the rules of this round were in his favor. He truly didn't believe that with such an advantage, the pill formula he created could be inferior to those of the Burning Heaven ancestor and Duan Xianwu. He didn't have to wait long. After closing his eyes for a short while, he felt much more intelligent, his thinking much faster. Various insights suddenly surged uncontrollably, and all sorts of fantastical ideas instantly filled his mind, making his head throb and leaving him momentarily at a loss for what to choose. Ultimately, Long Zhuan decided to prioritize his own benefit. Even if his imagination ran wild, if the pill formula he created didn't help him, it would be a complete waste of time. After narrowing down his options, the number of thoughts in his mind decreased significantly, making his brain much lighter. What kind of pill was both incredibly powerful and beneficial to him? Long Zhuan finally chose the bone-growing and blood-melting pill from a novel from his previous life. This was a heaven-defying pill that could reshape the soul into a physical body. He added a touch of his own imagination. The physical body's appearance, attributes, aptitude, could all be freely chosen, and once finalized, it couldn't be changed. If one wanted, one could possess even the most heaven-defying aptitude in the world, and there would be no incompatibility with any soul. Of course, this pill was far too extraordinary. A 4th-grade pill certainly couldn't possess such potency. Such a wildly imaginative pill could only be a 12th-grade pill. He could only use the old method. Diluting a 12th-grade pill into a 4th-grade pill with a large amount of low-quality materials. A 4th-grade bone-growing and blood-melting pill certainly wouldn't be as heaven-defying. His reason for imagining such a pill was naturally for the heavenly water in the Thunder Swamp. He had been pondering how to obtain the heavenly water from Elder Shui, whether to risk killing Shui Wuking for him, or to find a perfectly compatible physical body for him. He hadn't made up his mind for a long time, but now he finally had an idea. If he could use the enlightenment tea to research and develop the bone-growing and blood-melting pill, then he wouldn't have to struggle with this decision anymore. With a single bone-regenerating and blood-melting pill, he could completely reshape Elder Shui's physical body and also exchange the heavenly water in Elder Shui's possession. A smile played on Long Zhuan's lips. The bone-regenerating and blood-melting pill was both useful to him and incredibly powerful, even potentially attracting a tribulation lightning strike. He decided to focus solely on researching the bone-regenerating and blood-melting pill. He refused to believe that such a heaven-defying pill couldn't secure first place in this round of the competition. Beside him, Duan Xianwu sat with his eyes closed, his brows furrowed deeply. Like Long Zhuan, he had an overactive imagination, brimming with countless wild ideas. After drinking the enlightenment tea, he experienced so many insights that he was unsure how to choose. Ultimately, he tacitly agreed with Long Zhuan, prioritizing self-interest. Since he was creating his own pill formula, it had to be useful to him. Otherwise, no matter how powerful the formula, if it was useless to him, it was just waste paper. What was the point of creating it? After eliminating options, Duan Xianwu's thoughts instantly diminished by more than half. With fewer choices, he felt much more relaxed. Chapter 399. Each displays their unique abilities. June 14, 2024. Author, Xiangkangshenze Shui Wu. By Nian. Realizing the vast difference between himself and the Burning Heaven Ancestor lay in their vastly different levels of knowledge, the Burning Heaven Ancestor, relying on the complete evil Phoenix True Eye, could instantly learn everything, thus possessing 10,000 times more knowledge than him. Therefore, he wanted to research a pill that could grant the ability to learn everything. As an unparalleled demonic cultivator, his first thought was to refine demonic pills using humans as materials. What if he threw a fourth-grade alchemist into the alchemy furnace? Could he refine a pill that, once consumed, would allow one to master the knowledge of a fourth-grade alchemist? This pill sealed a person's inheritance. Consuming it would instantly grant access to that person's legacy, saving him a century of learning time. This pill was truly heaven-defying. Whatever he wanted to learn, he only needed to refine a prominent figure in that field into a pill and consume it. Knowledge that others wasted centuries to acquire could be learned in an instant using this method. In this way, whatever he wanted to learn, he only needed to keep eating. If he could learn everything he ate, what difficulty would there be in mastering all the inheritances of this world? Duan Xianwu's lips curled into a sinister smile. In the end, he decided to research this kind of pill, and he named the pill formula the Inheritance Pill. The Inheritance Pill was powerful enough to attract a legendary heavenly tribulation. He refused to believe that such a heaven-defying pill could not win the first place in this round of the competition. Duan Xianwu clenched his fist excitedly, a powerful smile of confidence on his lips. At the same time, the Burning Heaven Ancestor, sitting on his other side, also smiled confidently. Compared to the previous two, his imagination was not as outstanding, so there were not many insights coming to his mind. But enlightenment is about quality, not quantity. No matter how many ideas you have in your mind, you can only choose one at this time. Since there were not many ideas coming to his mind, he quickly made a decision. The power of the enlightenment tea suddenly opened his mind, and he wondered if he could research a pill that could awaken memories of past lives. Everyone is curious about what they were in their past lives, whether they were mortals or incredibly powerful figures. If they were great figures in their past lives, consuming such a pill would be an absolute steal, perhaps even allowing them to recall some incredibly powerful lineage. The Burning Heaven Ancestor suddenly revealed an ambitious look. His ambition was truly immense. He was no longer satisfied with learning all the current lineages, but also wanted to learn those that had long been lost. His past life might not have been impressive, but what about his life before that? And his life before that? In his previous 100 lives, he must have been incredibly powerful at some point. Using this pill, he might be able to recall a powerful lineage lost for millions of years. Such an ancient lineage, brought into the present world, would be enough to dominate everything. He decided to name this pill the 100 Lifetimes Pill. The 100 Lifetimes Pill was powerful enough to defy the heavens, perhaps even attracting a heavenly tribulation. He clenched his fist, immediately deciding to research this pill. He refused to believe that he couldn't win this round of the competition with this pill. Sitting beside him, Long Yuiao, Feng Shuang, and Wang Wu all exuded powerful confidence, presumably having devised what they considered incredibly innovative ideas. Time ticked by, and all the judges and spectators watched silently, their eyes filled with anticipation. The judges, in particular, were drawn from the 10 great empires to prevent the formulas from being leaked, as this round of the competition was about scoring each participant's created pill formula. Since the organizers owned both the pills and the formulas, the judges were eager to see what formulas the participants would create for the 10 great empires in the coming days. Some incredibly powerful formulas could significantly boost a nation's overall strength, and they couldn't afford to ignore them. The wait was long, and the judges were growing increasingly impatient, while the participants, in a state of enlightenment, were oblivious to the passage of time. Meanwhile, in the Soul bookstore, Long Zhuan held a pill formula in his hands, his face beaming with excitement. In this world, nothing is impossible. If you can imagine it, theoretically, it's all achievable. The terrifying elixir he envisioned that could create a physical body was somewhat absurd, but theoretically, it was indeed possible. Even with his cheat-like abilities, he wouldn't have been able to research such an extraordinary elixir. However, the power of the Enlightenment tea was equally incredible. Under its influence, he had actually succeeded in researching a bone-growing and blood-melting pill. Even now, he found it somewhat unbelievable that he had managed to create such an extraordinary elixir. The success of the bone-growing and blood-melting pill filled him with ecstasy, but he couldn't bear to hand over such a heaven-defying formula. This was a heaven-defying elixir that could instantly grant any body snatcher a perfect physical body, potentially even enhancing their aptitude. The elixir's extraordinary power clearly surpassed that of the heaven-defying pill. How could he willingly hand it over? He decided to stick to his original plan and create another elixir formula himself. He probed out with his soul power and discovered that only 2 days had passed, more than enough time. He had the advantage of the soul bookstore, where time flowed differently from the outside world, allowing him to create pill formulas far faster than others. Seeing he was significantly over the other contestants, Long Zhuan wasn't in a hurry. He returned to the soul bookstore and began brainstorming ideas for his second spirit pill. His original idea remained the same, the most practical idea for him, not necessarily the most outrageous. Thinking about his immediate needs, Long Zhuan immediately decided to create an aphrodisiac pill for his second pill. Don't misunderstand, this was a legitimate pill. His gold-eating insects had already undergone metamorphosis after consuming heavenly gold. Now, his urgent task was to rapidly expand their numbers. Gold-eating insects only became truly terrifying when they reached a certain scale, numbering in the thousands. Without large-scale reproduction, their maximum potential was limited to a single, exceptionally powerful goo worm. If their numbers were insufficient, it was better to refine them into goo worms. Long Zhuan wanted to recreate the gold-eating insects from the novel, swarming them to create a massive insect swarm attack. However, top-grade spirit insects were difficult to breed, and those on the rankings were 100 times harder to reproduce than ordinary ones. If left to grow naturally, it would likely take 1,000 years to produce many gold-eating insects. Therefore, developing a heaven-defying pill that could accelerate the reproduction of top-grade spirit insects was imperative. Long Zhuan named this pill the Rusty Pill, effective on all types of top-grade spirit insects. After consuming it, the insects would grow into estrus, greatly increasing their reproduction rate. In this world, top-grade spirit insects were extremely rare. He hadn't seen a single one in several years back in the Western market. One could imagine how incredible a pill that could rapidly reproduce top-grade spirit insects would be. Even if such a heaven-defying pill didn't attract a lightning tribulation, it could certainly attract extraordinary phenomena, which should be enough to satisfy his mission. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.